Santa came early as the Minnesota State Mavericks come into town to face off against the University of Indianapolis Greyhounds. Welcome into the booth. My name's Jake Helton. Alongside me, Jace Hodge, to provide some color commentary for today's contest. As they get the coin toss underway, we will first turn to Jace for his keys to the game. We'll start with Minnesota State, Jace.
Yeah, for this Mavericks ball club, a win against Findlay last week, a big win, and we'll see that they will defer the coin toss, and Indianapolis will get the ball to begin this game. But for this Minnesota State team, they need to win the battle in the trenches. A very physical ball club, very big guys on the line. If they can win that battle in the trenches, they should be just fine in this game. They also need to force turnovers. They're one of the best in Division II at doing just that, with 28 takeaways coming into this game. If they can force the Greyhounds into uncharacteristic mistakes, that'll lead them down the right path. And then finally, they need to keep the ball away from the Greyhounds quarterback, Gavin Sukup. And the season he's had has been fantastic. The more you keep the ball out of his hands, the better off you'll be come into the game.
Well, if Minnesota State sticks to that, they're going to have a pretty good chance of beating the Greyhounds, taking away their best weapon in Gavin Sukup. But, Jace, what do the Greyhounds have to do to come out of here with a win?
And the Greyhounds getting the ball first. The first key I had was they need to start fast. Last week against Truman State, first play, touchdown to Caleb Carver. They get the ball a chance to do just that right here. If they can start first and get a score on this first drive, they put the pressure back on the Mavericks. They also need to use the quarterback run. Gavin Sukup is very versatile with his legs. He's very good with his legs, and it's going to be very needed today, especially when that snow comes in later in this ball game that is expected. And then finally, they need to get pressure from the front seven, from the front four on the quarterback, because the Mavericks are very big up front. They have a very good run game, and the Greyhounds need to limit that as much as possible. So they need to get pressure early, often, especially from those D ends like Danny Royster is a guy they're going to use a lot in this game, trying to get some of that pressure on this Mavericks ball team.
The Greyhounds will wear their black jerseys along with the black helmets. Minnesota State will rep the purple helmets alongside the white jerseys, white tops and bottoms. It's a pretty nice jersey matchup, and as we wait for the kickoff, Jace, it's pretty cold here. What exactly is the weather looking like?
Well, some snow in the pregame, and looking outside right now, about 34 degrees. It'll get chillier as the game goes on. Some snow, possibly second half.
Kickoff is up, and it looks like it will be Marquise Gillum who will take it for the Greyhounds. Got it at about the 5, gets grabbed by the helmet and pushed back by quite a few Mavericks, and they'll give him forward progress. It'll start at the 21-yard line for Gavin Sukup and this offense. And that is where we will start taking a look at the starting lineups for this Greyhound offense. We'll start with that quarterback, Gavin Sukup. Jace, what can you say about this guy?
There's not much more to say about this guy. 3-time now GLVC Offensive Player of the Year, 38 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, holds nearly every school record now for single season and career passing records. This guy has been absolutely insane, and he is the offense on this ball club.
The skills positions will start him as we see him. Colton Wilkie wears 83. He was the one just in motion. Now Marquise Gillum, number 1 in motion. We do have some movement on the offensive line. Looks like it's going to be a false start on the Greyhounds. It'll give us a chance to go over these starting lineups, finish them off. Caleb Carver, it will be the false start on the Greyhounds, but we'll continue this. Caleb Carver wears number 4, and he had a big game last week alongside Alonzo Derrick, kind of the rock of this receiving core. Marquise Gillum, the speedster, and Colton Wilkie, the tight end. Offensive line after this play. Sukup drops back, and he's looking deep, looking to use his legs, and that's exactly what we talked about. Minnesota State likes to drop back quite a few guys. That time they dropped back 7. A little bit of contact after the slide, but nothing will be called. Minnesota State likes to drop back about 7, 8 guys. That's when Sukup has to use his legs. And he's protected by a pretty solid offensive line. Everybody was first or second team. Kevion Anderson, Grant Ray, Brandon Stuckey, the center, Tyler Leopold, and Ryan Butts on the right side of that line. Jace, a rough start to the season, but they got things going as things went on. Sukup in the shotgun. He'll send Garrett Sherrill in motion. Usually a running back for this Greyhound squad, but he's no stranger to lining up in. Juster Spitaki breaks free. One man can get him. Will he make it to the 10? He misses into the end zone. Touchdown, Greyhounds.
Starting fast. What do we say about starting fast? Fataki, I'm not sure how he got through that first level of the defense. He was stuffed, and he broke free. Broke out of the cage.
Call him Houdini. He slipped through there. He lost sight of him. And he pops out the other side, takes it to the house. Around a 70-yard touchdown. We'll get the exact yardage after this. Andrew Herron on to add the extra point. Jace, you said they needed a big play. That's exactly what they just got.
Juster Fataki, this guy came onto the scene about midway through the season in that Truman State game a few weeks back, and he has taken the helm ever since. Him and Cheryl, that duo headed backfield. Man, oh man, what a start for the Greyhounds.
Not a big crowd here in Indianapolis. The Greyhounds have to bring their own energy, and they did just that. It is 7-0. We'll get to see this Mavericks offense when we return here on ESPN+. Just like that, the Greyhounds are up, and we're just 1 minute and 2 seconds into this contest. Jace, led by the running back room. It was Garrett Sherrill kind of drawing the attention away from Fataki, but Fataki finishes it off with a massive run.
Those two running backs have been great for the Greyhounds, kind of that duo-headed backfield with two running backs. Sherrill more of the speed guy, Fataki more of the power punch, but that time Fataki was the one using his speed to his advantage.
Low kick will be caught by the returnman, and he gets laid out. Absolutely laid out. Jaden Slayball gets back there and lays the wood. We started off seeing him at the nickel position this year, and, well, Jace, he was a running back last year, so it was a bit of a surprise for us up here in the booth. But as the season has gone on, he's seen a little bit less field and more special teams, but that's where he makes his presence known.
Yeah, he's fast, too. He gets down the field quickly. You saw him there getting on quickly, and he's a great tackler as well, which we've seen so far this year.
We will get to the Minnesota State offense in a moment. First, it'll be Becker in the backfield. Or excuse me, that's not Becker. Or it is, excuse me. 13:40 to go. We'll take a look at the starting lineups. Becker was the guy who just ran it. He wears number 5. The guy who handed it to him is Mitchell Thompson wearing number 15. Along the wide receivers, we have Grant Guyett, Connor Staff, and Hudson Dillon. And then Jake Cicero will be the tight end for this squad. Mitchell Thompson rolling out to his right. He's got a man over his head. It was open. Alvin Contreras was lurking down below, just not deep enough, and over the head of his receiver. It'll set up third down. They'll need about 1 yard to go. Jace, we're expecting to see this talented running back.
Oh, absolutely. Sam Becker, this guy, 8th in the nation in rushing touchdowns, 9th in total points scored in touchdowns, 13th in scoring. This guy's been an absolute unit all year long. He's going to get a heavy dose of rushes today in this game.
Thompson lines up under the center. Running back right behind him. It's a QB sneak. He gets enough before he's taken down. But that moves the chains, exactly what they were looking for.
And Jake Thompson, a big threat with his legs as well, nearing 630 yards on the season. This guy's the second best rusher on this team so far, and he's going to be a big asset in read options today and keeping himself on undesigned plays. He's going to run a lot, and they're going to have to keep an eye out for that.
DeBrent Johnson in there, finishing off that tackle on Mitchell Thompson, but it is enough for the first down. Thompson sends Stoff in motion. He finds his running back, and he makes the catch out of the backfield. Down the right side, enough for a first down, plus a little bit more. You'll see the arms pointing first down. That's exactly what it is. Minnesota State getting things rolling. They might not have the one-punch power that the Greyhounds have, but they can certainly drive down the field on you.
And the Hounds have been kind of exploited all year long in those underneath passes, so watch for the Mavericks to continuously hit those underneath routes with the Greyhounds playing some soft coverage.
Mavericks haven't necessarily been known for their passing attack, just 189 yards per game this season, but last week they found a lot of success with Mitchell Thompson through the air. This time we'll see a new face in the backfield for the Mavericks. You'll see Diego Piche. He made the tackle there, coming over to the sideline, slapping his helmet. And that was Carter Henderson. Sophomore running back for this Mavericks squad. He's saw an increase in carries as the season has went on. Now 111 carries, just under 600 yards. He's found the end zone twice as well, but that brings up second down. Minnesota State has been ahead of the change, so to speak, as they have started off this drive, but now they'll have 2nd and 9. Mitchell Thompson throws it, and it's dropped. It was a nice pass, maybe just a little bit too soon for his tight end there, but nonetheless, it's dropped. Nasir Jones.
Same simple set that time. Just have a receiver or tight end go underneath the defense. The Greyhounds like to sit back in zone coverage, back deep near the sticks, and so they'll continuously hit the underneath route until the Greyhounds stop it. That time, a little bit of an off throw by Thompson. Thompson not really known for his accuracy per se. He's more kind of that dual threat quarterback that has some issues with some accuracy over the course of the season.
Wow, a lot of different guys have caught passes for this squad. They haven't caught too many. That's kind of the story. But Thompson in the shotgun will pass it, and he gets laid out. And a flag will come from the secondary. I was wondering if that was coming in. Eli Leopis came in from his safety position, diving head first towards Stoff, excuse me.
You can't leave with the kind of your helmet.
That's exactly what I was afraid of for the Greyhounds, and that would be a big loss for them. But Minnesota State, nonetheless, they move the ball either way. Right now it's spotted at the 40-yard line, impending a penalty. Flag is left right there inside the 40-yard line, and they're going to allow some subs, and the referee's going to talk with Coach Keevers, and we'll get the call. And as always, they will go review this to make sure that they get this call right, because not only would he be out, or well, I guess if it's in the first half, he would just have to miss the rest of this game, or would he have to miss the entire first half of next game, Jace?
He would miss this game.
Okay, so on the review, or at least the referees will go take a look at the review. We will step aside and come back when they have a decision. A big one for the Greyhounds, but Minnesota State driving down the field. They have it at the 40. 7-0 Greyhounds when we return on ESPN+. Back here at Keys Stadium, it was a lengthy review process, but Seems as though the referees have a decision. They're coming out, the two that reviewed it at least, and the ball has not moved, and Eli Leapis is still on the field, which is good news for Greyhound fans. I'm sure Minnesota State was probably looking for it. We'll hear. So during the break, Jace and I kind of had the conversation. The only way he escapes this is if he missed with the helmet and got with the shoulder. Jace, that's kind of what we're going to assume happened.
Yeah, I think he was able to escape because, like you said, the shoulder was the one that hit the helmet, not the head area. Obviously, tough to tell from that back judge back there. He saw the helmet lead and he saw the contact. Thought the helmet was helmet to helmet, but obviously the camera angles, the review was able to notice that the shoulder got to the helmet rather than the crown of the helmet.
Receivers will bunch up on the top side of the line, and it will be a handoff. Sam Backer takes it. Gets about 6 yards. Nice run on first down. Let's take a look at the starters on defense for the Greyhounds. Start with that defensive line. Danny Royster's been a dog this year. 13 tackle for losses for a D-end is pretty impressive. Down the line, Brandon Smith and Julian Dandridge in the middle, and then Cornell Branch on the opposite side of Royster. Jarrell Franklin, Jalen Wilson, and Alvin Contreras will be the linebacker, so to speak, although Contreras plays more of a hybrid nickel position. Get to the rest after this play. It's a handoff for Backer. Backer steps through the line and gets maybe 2 yards. That'll set up third and about 2. Finishing off those starting lineups. In the backfield, Leapis will stay in for the Greyhounds, and TJ Easley Jones did not play in that last game against Truman State, and we do not believe he will be playing today. Mario Williams and Jalen Gavon, the other two, they'll be at the top of your screen, number 3 and number 12. Gavon missed a lengthy part of the season as Thompson takes it through a quarterback keeper. He gets the first down, but not without a hard hit. Mitchell Thompson is no stranger to running the ball whatsoever. He has quite a few yards, 623 of them to be exact. He's ran it 123 times this season and found the end zone 8 times on the ground. And that really adds another dimension to the offense, Jace.
And you'll see a lot of that quarterback kind of read or quarterback run with the back leading him on those short yard scenarios because of the powerful runs that Thompson has shown he can provide for this offense.
In motion at Stoff. But it'll be a handoff for Backer. Backer goes inside, makes a couple men miss. Jalen Gavon in there on the tackle. A couple of Greyhounds had to bring him down, but another nice first down run, and that is how this Minnesota State team finds success. Great first down plays. They never put themselves behind the chains, and when they get in the red zone, they finish.
Absolutely. They have the best red zone conversion rate in Division II this year, 51 of 52 in scoring in the red zone this season.
They're knocking on the door right now, maybe just on the 20-yard line as Thompson hands it off to Backer, working around. And you see the methodical, the way he works through the defensive line. He almost uses his lineman as a shield to work through and get to that second line. And once he finds a linebacker, it's shoulder down, and he's getting those extra couple of yards. That'll bring up first down now as the chain gain will back up close to the end zone. And that'll need about 15. There is a first down in there inside the 5-yard line if they get there before scoring. Just about halfway through the first quarter. It's a bubble screen to the outside. Backer, spin move, makes a man miss. That was Mario Williams who ended up being able to get the ankle tackle, but he spins forward and gets to about the first down marker. They'll mark him at the 6-yard line, and Jace, it's great first down play after great first down play.
And they're winning the trenches. They're winning the blocks right now. They have some bigger bodies compared to the Greyhounds defensively, and they're going to use that to their advantage and push them backwards on most of these offensive drives.
And those types of things don't tend to get better as the game goes on. It's handoff for Backer. Backer runs into the middle of that blob of black and white, and he's able to get down to about the 4-yard line. I don't know, the referee's maybe a little stingy there with the spotting. I thought he fell forward a little bit. Maybe a Greyhound pushed him back. They'll say he only got 2 on that one. It'll be 2nd and 3. A little bit of tempo. They'll bring in an extra big man. And it seems as though they're going to run it straight down the Greyhound defense.
That's all they've done so far. Why not do it again?
Backer to the left. He'll take the handoff and run to the left, and he escapes an ankle tackle into the end zone. Leapis had a chance to bring him down, but does not, and that is going to just about bring it even. 7-6 now, impending the field goal, extra point that is. And Minnesota State, that's exactly what they planned to do, and they stuck to it.
Yeah, Backer, one of those runners who's very hard to bring down, and you get him to that second level, he's going to be hard to bring down by any of those safeties or linebackers. Saw a missed tackle there by the Greyhounds, and that's all you really need for a back like Backer.
And that can almost be a little demeaning to a defense like the Greyhounds, who have struggled against some better run games. You look back to, as the extra point is good, you look back to that Findlay game, one in particular that I think of. Jaden Farmer had a field day against the Greyhounds, and they haven't seen too many good running backs throughout the year, and I think this is a tall task for them to kind of step up the run game and go up against such a high-powered back like Backer. But we'll step aside. It is 7-7, 7-16 on the board. Greyhounds and Gavin Sukup will have the ball when we return on ESPN+. Mavericks answer with a long, methodical drive. They get into the end zone via Sam Backer. Into the end zone for what, Jace? The 18th time on the ground, 19th time total. And as Jace mentioned, he's 8th in rushing touchdowns, just working his way higher and higher up that list. But now the Greyhounds will have a chance to answer back. Gavin Sukup scored on his first time out. We'll take a look at some of his numbers when he leads his offense out onto the field. But it'll be Crow back deep for the Greyhounds at the 1-yard line. He'll take it out. Gets a couple of good blocks, now taking it to the middle of the field. It looked like he was going to try and go to the far side, or far sideline that is, but he gets up to about the 24, 23-yard line. And that's where the Greyhounds will start, led by quarterback Gavin Sukup. Jace?
Yeah, this guy has been, we mentioned him on the first drive how insane he has been, but look at the stats this year. Passing efficiency first, completion percentage first, passing touchdowns second. I mean, he keeps going down the list on all the stat categories. He is top 5 in the nation. This guy has been near perfection in most of these games this season, and when the Greyhounds offense is humming, it's because of him.
And you see that perfection, and it's hard to believe that there's any other quarterbacks that could compete, but Sherrill will take it left side. Not much room, as gets a nice push from the Greyhound line, and that's what you like to see, some effort from that line pushing forward. Mavericks say they have it, and we will await the signaling. I think he was down, and that is what they will say.
Saw that a few times last week, too, against Truman State. The Greyhounds were on the ground, and they fumbled the ball. They were a little bit loose last week, so be wary of that for this Greyhounds team, a Mankato team who's very good at punching the ball out, forcing turnovers. They have done it all year long so far. They've been very active defensively, especially with those hands near the cookie basket.
They've recovered 11 fumbles this year. They forced 19.
Jeez.
That's a lot. If you don't know anything about football, that's a lot of fumbles. Crowell in motion before the snap. It's just going to be a handoff to Fataki. He runs a couple of guys over before he gets trucked. That was a nice hit that time. Jason Hawkins coming in from the defensive line, and then a linebacker coming in as well. Minnesota State's defense has been pretty strong as we get a tush push here on third down. We'll get into Minnesota State's defense in a moment, but
this is the trench battle right here.
Greyhounds will line up under center. We'll see who gets the better push, and it seems as though the Greyhounds did. A referee on both sides take a step forward. They'll mark him at the 34 due to forward progress.
And that's Devin Nelson they put under center, kind of the biggest back they have on this team. We saw a little bit more of him this season back in the early stages of it, kind of that third string running back now behind Fataki and Sherrill, but a big back who gets under center. He gets the push back from behind by fellow running back Colin Price, is also a big back in himself, and that push is kind of allows him to get that extra yard or so that they need.
Take a look at this Minnesota State defense after this play. Greyhounds taking their time, but just waiting for that big play to open up. Sukup looking for that big play now, but he's going to step up in the pocket, use his legs, gets out to the 41-yard line. That'll bring up second and about 4, and Greyhounds looking for some similar success on first down as the Mavericks. Mavericks do a mass substitution, but we'll go over those starters for you. Defensive line, Marcus Hansen, Abe Heston, Caden Lovett, and Jack Hawkinson. Nathan Drum, Jeffrey Mowbray, and Antoine Johnson, will be the linebackers, and then Jason Dandridge, Jamal Spivey, and Amon Williams, alongside Emmanuel Spivey, two brothers. Greyhounds, or Gavin Sukup, that is, able to escape some pressure. He just gets rid of it. Probably the smart play there out of the pocket. No intentional grounding to worry about, but that does bring up third down, and we'll see Crowell and Marquise Gillum come back alongside Giovanni Laurent for the first time.
We're seeing Sukup under pressure a lot right now. He's getting some of that pressure, and coming into this game, that he was told that there's going to be pressure today. The Mavericks are going to bring 4 or 5 guys, and they're going to get home pretty quickly. So be more versatile with your legs. And so far we're seeing that today. Sukup kind of running around, finding space for himself. There he couldn't find anything, but so far I like what he's doing with his legs.
In motion, that's Garrett Sherrill, but Sukup goes opposite of that, and a nice catch through the contact. Giovanni Laurent gets the first down for the Greyhounds past the 50-yard line. They'll get to the 48 of Mankato.
That's all you need. Mankato is just sitting back in deep zone coverage. You throw someone underneath the route on a little curl route with Giovanni Laurent. Sukup lasers it right into his chest, and good job of holding on to the ball by Laurent. A big hit that time from the defensive back.
Something we saw the Greyhounds struggle with last year in their first-round matchup against Grand Valley State. Sukup takes the snap and just going to hand it off this time as Justers Fataki gets the handoff. He's upset. After breaking off that long run, you're almost expecting yourself to break through that defense and do it again, and it's going to take a lot against this Mankato front four.
Yeah, Fataki, a big back. Not sure how I feel about running outside with him. I think he's more of a up-the-gut running back. Cheryl's more of your get outside of the tackles kind of running back. But Fataki, you'll see if they go back to him here on a pound the ball, 2nd and 8.
Cheryl, Carver, and Derek, Laurent, Carver, and Derek, the receivers, and a hold down the field. I saw the tight end get held. Gavin Sukup's going to make his way out of the pocket, tries to throw it back across the field. Carver could not make his way back to the ball. And that was Cole Bennett running around it. Looked to be a corner, and seemed as though the receiver, the defensive back that is, grabbed the back of his jersey. I guess the referee didn't see the same thing I saw. And that'll bring up third down. They'll need 8. Sticking with pretty much the same lineup. Giovanni Laurent, Caleb Carver up top. Marquise Gillum, Alonzo Derrick down low. Gavin Sukup looking to the sideline, getting the play call, and audible. 3:20 on the clock. Sukup drops back, looking down the field. He's trying for the deep shot and almost intercepted. Didn't see the linebacker. It was Jefferson Mowbray dropping back in coverage, and that's going to bring up 4th down.
I think they're going to go for it here. You're kind of in that gray area, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to change that now. It's one where you kind of are wishy-washy about going for or not kind of in this area, but against a team who can run the ball as good as Minnesota State can, you want to pin them back as deep as you can with this punt here. But Sukup had a good look over the top, maybe a little more under the pass, and maybe that completed, but the linebacker that time sat nicely in that zone. There was nowhere to really fit that ball into for Sukup.
Trying to throw it between 4 white jerseys, but unsuccessful. 4th and 8. It'll be Andrew Herron on for the Greyhounds to punt. Barely gets it off, and it's not a great one, but it does get a good roll inside the 5. Call it a Greyhound roll down to the 4-yard line, and that is where Mankato will start. They were able to drive down the field last time and Jace, we'll talk about this quarterback room because it was a question at the beginning of the year. There were two guys that were kind of back and forth. Mitchell Thompson wins the starting job, and now he's led this team to a playoff position and now a playoff win as well.
Yeah, they began the year kind of going back and forth between Maximus Sims and Thompson. It was more Sims there for a few weeks. Thompson took over that job about 5 to 6 weeks into the season, taking over because of that running game, because of the ability he has with his legs. His passing is a question mark at times, but the ability of him running and a run-first offense is second to none for this Mankato team.
He hands it off to Backer. Backer able to give him a little bit of operating room out to the 5-yard line before he's taken down by a couple of Greyhounds. Cornell Branch in there.
And that was a good tackle by Wilson. It was Wilson from behind who came flying in, that time from the linebacker position. That Mike linebacker came flying in, got him from behind. Great tackle. Because otherwise, Backer had some room ahead of him.
One of the slower quarters, at least this season for the Greyhounds. You think about the fast pace they play and some of the games they played in the GLVC. This one, Mankato taking their time. It's going to be a pass from Mitchell Thompson looking out to the right side. He has his guy. It's Grant Guyett. Guyett out to the first down marker, or maybe out.
Keep hitting those. They're keep hitting those underneath routes as long as the Greyhounds play soft in the defensive backfield. They keep playing about 5 yards off the defender. It allows for a quick out route for any receiver, and that's going to be an easy 8 yards as long as the Greyhounds are playing the same coverage they have all season long. But we've seen them at times then bring that pressure that allows the quarterback to get the ball out quickly. So we'll see what they bring here on 3rd down and 2.
It is always a tough throw, especially the far side of the field like we just saw. Gives the defense a chance to catch up, but Mitchell Thompson puts it on his man, and as Jay said, that brings up 3rd and 2. Thompson will hand it off, and he's taken down, but not before he gets a first down. Seemed to be Carter Henderson in there. And they will move the chains. Referee in the back is signaling move the chains, and that'll be a first down. Keever's not happy, along with the Greyhound crowd, at least what there is of it here in front of us. They were not happy, but it will be a fresh set of downs. Still 7-7, a minute to go here in the first quarter. Thompson in the shotgun. It'll be another handoff. Mankato doing what Mankato does, but the Greyhounds trying to push back against this heavy run offense. You look at their numbers from the year, they averaged 189 passing yards, but just 215 rushing yards, a little bit more on the ground. Not something you typically see here at the Division II level unless you're maybe playing against a Harding.
Yeah, they pound the ball, and they're going to do it a lot today, but then they're going to hit you with the play action out of nowhere. So you got to be ready for that for the Greyhounds. They're going to run, and then boom, play action, deep shot. It happens, and it catches teams off guard.
They found success with that last week against Findlay. Now a jet sweep to the outside. Did he get to the first down marker? They will step back and say he did still get enough, but out to the 25-yard line.
Yeah, just a jet sweep that time. You keep the ball up the middle, and then you hit the outside part of things. The Greyhounds are playing off, like I said, on the receivers. You bring that receiver in motion. You recognize the coverage that you're in. You hand the ball off, and you get to the outside of the tackles, and you gain the first down. It's about as simple as it can be.
LeBarian Gilmore, the redshirt freshman receiver from Palos Hills, Illinois, getting in on the action before the end of the quarter. But after 15 minutes of played, we are knotted up at 7. We'll talk with Jace about what he liked from both squads when we return here on ESPN+. back for 15 more minutes of action here as we get ready to start the second quarter. Jace, what did you like from Minnesota State and what was working for the Greyhounds?
For Minnesota State, they, like I said, keep the ball on the ground. They kept the ball on the ground so far throughout the first quarter of action. They're running the ball well, at least so far, already nearing about 60 to 70 yards on the ground so far. And they've been a few different rushers. Been Backer, been Henderson, but a little bit of the quarterback. Thompson we saw at the end of the quarter there. We saw Gilmore get his first carry of the game, a receiver who does carry the ball, and often they're keeping the ball on the ground. They have that physical advantage at the line, and they're using it to their advantage right now because the Greyhounds aren't able to get any pressure on that rushing game. For the Greyhounds, outside of that touchdown run by Fataki, their offense was a little bit iffy. The passing game for Sukup, you see the Mavericks, they send 7 or 8 deep. This is how Grand Valley State defeated the Greyhounds last year in that first round, was by just sitting back because they were able to get pressure with just a 4-man front. So the Mavericks so far getting good pressure defensively. The Greyhounds need to find that run game, find that Fataki and share run game that they are so accustomed to on the next offensive drive.
We'll start off the second quarter with the Mavericks and Mitchell Thompson dropping back to pass. Danny Royster almost got a hand on it, but a beautiful pass out to his tight end. Hudson Dillon, a wide receiver wearing a tight end number. You don't really see them in the 80s as much here at the college level, at least the receivers. They're usually wearing your 0 through 20s, and then once you get to the 80s or so, you're more in lineman tight end territory. But Dillon repping number 86. First down. Mavericks are rolling once again. Mitchell Thompson, the leader of this squad, the point guard, so to speak, hands it off to his right-hand man, Sam Backer, but Backer taken down in the backfield. Jalen Wilson, give him a tackle for a loss. That's his 6th on the season. He's got a sack along with 90 tackles. Leading tackler on this Greyhound squad.
This guy's a tackling machine. He's kind of the quarterback of the defense. That Mike linebacker is the one that's, relaying all the information across the defensive, unit, and he's done a great job this season at finding where the ball's at and making the tackle. Him and Contreras both.
Nasir Jones now in for the Mavericks. A delayed handoff, and Eli Leopis able to save the day there, making a nice open field tackle. Backer faked left, came back to the right side, and Eli Leopis was the only Greyhound there. And this was something that we saw Southwest Baptist try to expose the Greyhounds, at least on the outside, towards the numbers, trying to make them miss tackles, and the Greyhounds, they made those tackles.
We've seen teams, though, this year against the Greyhounds, at least in the last few weeks, use that halfback draw and have pretty good success with it. The Greyhounds on, second and long, you think, it's going to be a pass once and for all, and then boom, halfback draw, gain some more yards. Last time Leopis was all over it, luckily for the Greyhounds.
Well, you look at the two defensive ends in Branch and Danny Royster. Sometimes they get too far upfield. Underneath, the pass to Backer is caught, and we're seeing an increase in passes for this Minnesota State offense. It will bring up 4th down as he is short by maybe a foot or so, but we are seeing a little bit more pass out of this offense. Jace, there in the first quarter, you saw 6 passes from a team that usually throws about 12 to 13 passes all game.
Because of that soft coverage of the Greyhounds, they're finding the underneath stuff so far. Big play here.
4th down, they will not line up under the center. Mitchell Thompson in the shotgun. He'll hand it off to Backer, and Backer gets hit, but he's able to roll forward and get the extra 2 yards and keep the drive alive for the Mavericks.
You had the first contact, but Backer, yes, he's only about 5'11", but he's a little bigger, 215, and he has that extra the extra weight room power, you call it, and Sam Backer does a nice job too. He gets turned backwards, but he keeps his feet pushing forward that time to get that first down and the extra yardage that they needed to get the extra set of downs here.
Straight back to action. Minnesota State will line up in the shotgun. Mitchell Thompson, a jet sweep reverse to the other side, and DeBrence Johnson there to take him down. The Greyhounds were not really too fooled by that, Jace.
Yeah, you see the Mavericks pull out a lot of stops right now on the run game. They're going to get creative with it because it's not easy to run the ball the same way the whole game. You have to find different ways to run the ball, and that being one of their unique sets where you have that double pitch. You're coming back across the other side trying to catch the defense on the wrong side of the field, but DeBrence Johnson stood his ground that time, noticed what was happening with the other receiver coming in motion, and was able to make the tackle.
Connor Stoff, the one who just ran that, sets up 2nd and 6 for Minnesota State. Jake Cicero in at tight end. He was the one in motion, but an underneath pass, the soft coverage being taken advantage of right now, Jace.
Yeah, they're going to do that all game long. They're going to sit soft. They're kind of that bend but don't break defense style that we see a lot from a lot of football teams. They're going to play that soft coverage until about the 30-yard line. Then they'll press up. Then they'll start getting a little bit more press coverage and more pressure on the quarterback and blitzes. You see the Greyhounds play soft until we get about to this yard line. They'll bring some tighter coverage here on 3rd down and short.
Hudson Dillon on that last catch. Last week he had 7 catches for 72 yards. That tells you how they use the underneath game. A handoff this time for Henderson. And Minnesota State says they have it. So do the referees. It'll be a fresh set of downs, and they are just marching down the field, Jace.
They're using the run game. Like I said, they have the physical advantage up front. They look at their offensive line, 6'6", 6'5", 6'3", 6'3", 6'6". They have that size up front compared to the Greyhounds' defensive line. They're going to use that size to get that push, and that allows the back to get about 2 yards before the first contact is made. And then the back himself has some size as well, so he'll use that extra advantage power-wise to gain a few more. And that's going to lead to about 5 yards per carry, which is what they're averaging this season. You're going to see a lot of runs.
That was Gilmore in motion. Did not get it. He was the decoy in that play as Alvin Contreras and Jarrell Franklin in there making amends and trying to get the tackle. 10 minutes to go here in the second quarter. We are still tied up at 7-7. Jace, is this kind of what you were anticipating, or were you
This is about what I thought from both teams. The Greyhounds, outside of the run, have gone to the pass game, which is what their style of play is this season. The Mavericks are keeping the ball on the ground. The Mavericks are a run-first offense. We've seen a few passes to try to, catch the Greyhounds off guard. But outside of that, you're going to see a lot of, 2 tight end, 1 tight end set with the running back in the backfield alongside the quarterback. A lot of runs up the middle and up the gut here.
Shotgun pass, getting Thompson out of the pocket. He's able to find his guy that time, Nasir Jones. He doesn't have too many receptions on the year, but that will be his 19th of the season.
They're going to find the tight end on the kind of bootleg sort of play that time. Just going out in the flat, and the Greyhounds run on it. They're playing that soft coverage again on 2nd down and about 8, and 3rd and 3. They'll pressure up again. Expect another run. And the Greyhounds bring that press. You're seeing a run when they play that soft coverage. You're seeing this underneath passes so far. That's the game plan for the Mavericks.
It'll be 2 receivers at the top of your screen, 1 at the bottom. It's Hudson Dillon. He's looking for Dillon, and he got grabbed. We'll see if the flag comes in, and it does. DeBrent Johnson got there a little bit too early. 2 flags fly in, and you can only assume that's going to be pass interference.
Absolutely. DeBrent Johnson, you can't – I mean, it's bad from up here, Jake. We could see the tug of the jersey, and that's going to get called, especially when the pass was in the area.
We'll get the official ruling from the referee.
Johnson getting this nod right now. Yeah, Johnson getting the nod right now due to the injury to DJ Easley Jones. So you're going to see him a lot in this game. He needs to, for the Greyhounds, it's just next, at this point, it's next man up. And Johnson's been that guy. He's played well in the last few games, but kind of a youth mistake that time, grabbing the tug of the jersey.
1st down and 10 at the 25-yard line for Mankato. That's Henderson in motion out to the left side, but it was a designed quarterback run. The Greyhounds were not fooled. Alvin Contreras, or my apologies, that's Cornell Branch in there making the tackle, stopping it up to Brent Johnson, making up for that last pass interference. He brings him down for a loss of 0, though. It seemed as though he was a little bit farther behind the line than he was. That'll set up 2nd and 10.
And when they send that back in motion, that was my first thought, was quarterback run here, because on every pass so far, there's been a back in the backfield on either a play action or he goes out for a route himself. That was an unusual play design, which led to the quarterback design run.
It was a similar look with the trips, but they put him in motion. It's Henderson. He catches it inside the 10-yard line, and that'll set up 1st and goal for Minnesota State. A little bit of trickery getting the running back into the passing game.
You throw him out the wheel route that time. He kind of sneaks underneath everybody. The Greyhounds playing that zone coverage again. Royster came from behind getting some pressure, but that was kind of a design with screen pass as you have blockers downfield on the wheel route.
You look at that Greyhound defense, there's a lot of hands on hips right now. This has been a long, grueling drive as there is a Greyhound down on the right side, or off the field, just off of the field, that is. We'll get the number as soon as we can. Seems to be Eli Leopis, number 4 for the Greyhounds. He was involved in a couple of plays earlier in the game, but with 8:19, we will seems as though we are going to go ahead and stop play 7-7, but Minnesota State is knocking on the door. We'll see if they're able to get in here and put up 14 on Indianapolis. Leopis is back on his feet in the huddle over there. You'll see him number 4 closest to the camera. Well, we're zoomed in on the Minnesota State huddle, but Leopis is good to go. He says he's going to be right back into the game, and the Greyhounds probably need him as they are pretty much heels on their own end zones. The safeties will be standing in their own end zone as Minnesota State lines up across the 10-yard line for 1st and goal.
It's been a 17-play, 10-minute drive so far from Minnesota State.
Grueling on the defense. But that was a nice break for him. Mitchell Thompson looking for his quarterback. Backer able to make the one-handed catch into the end zone. Touchdown, Mavericks.
You got him that time. You have that motion, and he sneaks out again. The Greyhounds aren't on those sneak outs so far, and you had about a step ahead of the linebacker out in front, and a great catch made by Backer. It was a little bit ahead of him, and Backer able to tip it up to himself, make the catch, the touchdown, and the Mavericks 18-play touchdown drive. Man, oh man, this Mavericks offense is exactly what we know it's capable of, and just pound the ball down the field and end it off with the pass.
Got a good look at that replay right there, and you just make the linebacker make a decision. If he steps up on Mitchell Thompson, he throws it over top. If he stays back with Backer, then he takes it himself, and Thompson is a big threat on his feet. Greyhounds pick their poison. It ends in 7 as it is 14-7. The Greyhounds find themselves trailing for the first time in a while. 8:09 on the clock. Jace will go ahead and just keep her right here. And how about this Minnesota State offense just driving down the field?
What we expected coming into this game, exactly what we thought they would do. And, they did. Jake, we were talking in the break, and, they did it against Findlay, and Findlay's defense was one of the best in Division II. So you expected, if they can do it against Findlay, they can do it against the Greyhounds, a team who lost to Findlay earlier this season. Obviously, the common opponent there, the Greyhounds playing Findlay in that week number 1 game, their first Division II game of the season. The Greyhounds falling by 3 in that game. Mankato, on the other hand, they smoked Findlay last week up in Findlay against the Oilers. And, they're able to run the ball in that game very effectively. And so far today, playing that exact same game, the Greyhounds at some point are going to have to figure out how to stop the run. Otherwise, it's going to be a long day for this Greyhounds defensive unit.
A very, very long day, Jace, as we look at the Greyhound defense. They're 16th in D2 coming into today, allowing just under 100 yards per game. And as you look at it today, they've already almost given up 100 yards on the ground. Giving up 94 passing, but Greyhounds have it. It's caught by an Upman as he runs into his own guy. He's got a little bit of space. Caden Ollinger, that is, on the left side across the 50-yard line, and a big play for the Greyhounds.
And you see what happened with the ball there? Got kicked into the wind, it lofted up, and it just stopped. It was killed. The wind killed up in the air, and that led to an Upman. And Ollinger, who's a fast guy himself, returning that ball, he ran into one of his own guys, and then some slips by Minnesota State led to Ollinger just flying down the field.
Let's take a look at that real quick. You see him bounce off of his own guy. Anthony Crowell making a big block. Marquise Gillum getting out in front of him. He's past the flying eye.
Got to respond to the Greyhounds. Got to respond in this drive.
They set up in Minnesota State territory. Garrett Sherrill in motion out to the right side, but Fataki will be the one to get the handoff. Picks up 4, a nice first down run, and the Hounds, as you said, looking to answer. But, Jace, where do they go? That last drive kind of stalled out, and we've seen once they stall out once, it kind of becomes a reoccurring theme.
It does. That's why getting a first down on this drive is so important. Getting one first down just to keep the offense on the field and keep your defense off of after that long drive is going to be huge in this possession right here.
Well, you mentioned it as one of your keys to the game. Gavin Sukup drops back. He's finding his man, Alonzo Derrick, inside or right outside the 20-yard line. He also had Caleb Carver deep, but he finds
He also had an
guy.
underneath as well. He had Callan Okerson underneath on another crosser. He had 3 guys open that time, all on crossers, kind of that trips crossers that time.
Might want to circle that one on the playbook and come back to that in the second half. Very effective for the Greyhounds as they are now knocking on the door of the red zone, a place where they have been fairly successful as well. Maybe not as successful as Minnesota State, but they're 65 of their 70 attempts into the red zone. A run for Gavin Sukup. He gets a couple of beautiful blocks inside the 5-yard line. He's hyped up. He's over there to the president's tent talking to Tanusha Singh. They're hyped up. Everybody's standing in Key
Stadium. Got to use the quarterback
Stadium.
runs. Mentioned that in the pregame. Got to use the quarterback runs. That one, a design quarterback run for Sukup, who people don't realize how athletic this guy really is. He didn't use his legs that much in the first 8-9 weeks of the season, but recently he's been very good with his legs, and this guy, pretty quiet off the field, but once he's in game action, he's a completely different person.
Sukup will line up alone in the backfield. 3 receivers out to the right. It's where he looks, and he's going to throw and almost intercepted. It is dropped. Alonzo Derrick fighting with the safety there, and
Give Derrick a PBU that time.
Gavin Sukup probably lucky that one wasn't picked off. We've seen him make a couple of throws like that, and this is where it almost seems as though he's uncertain with himself. Sometimes he makes throws in the red zone, and he's second-guessing, pump-faking, and that time a little bit behind.
Sukup's his best kind of in the middle of the field where he has more open grass. When he gets down in these tight areas, he has some inconsistent throws.
Alone in the backfield, but it's Laurent in motion. It's going to be a run for Sukup, and he runs right into the defensive end. He had nowhere to go. Tanner Olson makes the play for the Mavericks. That brings up 3rd down, and that backs him up a couple yards as well. They're going to put him all the way back out to the 7-yard line.
I like using the quarterback runs. I don't like using them twice in 3 plays.
Well, Jack Strand ran the ball about
very
27 times for 150 yards, and if you go look at the stats, it'll say he only had about 120, but that's because at the end of the game he did the old run back and get a safety to run off the time, so that took about 30 yards off of his totals, but he was up at about 150 yards. Coach Keevers must have saw that film. Sherrill in motion out of the backfield. He's across the middle of the field. It's tipped at the line of scrimmage, and Sukup's pass falls to the ground, bringing up 4th down, and a big decision for Keevers and his squad, but he's not going to think about it at all. He sends out Heron. He just wants the points, and in a contest like this, points may come at a premium. That is exactly probably what you want to do for the Greyhounds. 5:37 on the clock. Minnesota State, not the quickest team on offense, so
Got to remember this wind, too. It's whipping around. Not exactly ideal wind to kick in. It's kind of favoring on his back right now, too, but we're still a little bit pushed to the far side of the field.
As Jay said, keep an eye on the wind. You'll see the flags at the top of the goalpost, but Heron's up, and it gets blocked. And it gets picked up. Minnesota State's going to take it back. Sukup gets taken down. Sukup ends up making the play, a big hit, and he's in the face of the Minnesota State player. That's what you love to see out of your quarterback right there. Maybe give a little bit of life to the Greyhounds, who just had a massive play going the way of Mankato. And that's what they do. They force turnovers. They make the game messy. And right there, a big block deep in Greyhound territory. They get a stop.
Something I was wondering about this game was, are they going to bring pressure on the special teams? You can take a look here at the highlight, and a few guys got there. A few guys are in the backfield. You got to block if you're the Greyhounds, and that time no one was blocking, it seemed like.
After the kick is blocked, it gets returned out to about the 38-yard line, and that is where Mankato will start with the ball. It'll be 1st down. Mitchell Thompson looking for the big play, and he's taken down in the backfield. The Greyhounds get to him. Cornell Branch was back there, but Diego Piche makes the play.
You know, Jake, this is the first time the Greyhounds have trailed since week number 4 against the McKendree Bearcats. It's been quite a while since the Greyhounds have been in a situation like this. You know, they get in the GLVC play and they get pretty accustomed to, winning games comfortably. So they haven't had a game like this. Really, not even that McKendree game wasn't even close in the end of it. It was really since the Ashland game back in week number 3 against the Eagles. Again, they won by 7.
Man, I love our stats guys. Always getting us the best information. I said it was probably a long time since the last time they trailed. Didn't know exactly, but got to love Ryan Thorpe and the UND Sports Info team. A misdirection. Henderson's going up the left sideline, and he trucks a defender on his way out. A huge run for Mankato, and they're rolling.
And that's on a 2nd and 17 too. That same kind of halfback draw, a little bit of a delay on the run, and the Greyhounds have had problems with that the last few weeks. Those delayed running plays on what seems to be obvious passing situations. The Greyhounds have gotten tied up a little bit on those longer scenarios.
Carter Henderson makes it 3rd and much more manageable. They'll only need 1 yard as we dip under 4.5 minutes to go. Under center, it's Mitchell Thompson. Puts a receiver in motion. That's Grant Guyett, and he's easily going to get it, plus a couple of extra into Greyhound territory. Greyhounds didn't really stand a chance there. It was pretty much like a bowling ball rolling through a couple of pins.
We saw that earlier on 3rd and 1, so I don't know why they didn't put more up-front pressure on a designed quarterback sneak. We know they love to do that. The Mavericks do on the 3rd and 1 play call. The Greyhounds want to put 4 up front. Got to add some more bodies up there, you got to think.
Both times they've ran that, Mitchell Thompson has gotten about 5 or 6 yards, not just the one, but a couple of extra as well. He'll line up in shotgun, 2 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. He rolls out to the right, now looking down the field, gets a block, and he's able to find his man. It's Guyett. Grant Guyett on the left sideline, right in front of the Greyhound bench. That'll give him about 5 yards. That'll set up 2nd and 5.
Another comeback route, short route, and a good job by Thompson using his legs, rolling out and finding a man open on the sideline, and a good accurate throw that time by him on the move. I like seeing some from Thompson so far. Thompson pretty accurate with the short throws and using his legs to his ability. And the Mavericks playing their offensive style, and this is working exactly how they wanted it to.
14-7, 3 minutes to go here in the 2nd quarter. It's 2nd and 5 for Minnesota State Mankato. Thompson taking his time. He'll hand it off to Henderson. Henderson runs into a crowd of black and white jerseys before he's taken down.
It's going to be a big play here, Jake. Nearing that 2-minute timeout, Mankato just wants to roll this clock down because, they get the ball after halftime, too. They deferred on the coin toss. This is a chance to go 2 for 1 and really break this game wide open before the Grants can even get the ball back with Sukup. And right now they're doing exactly what we said. Keep the ball away from Sukup. They've done a great job of that so far. And a first down here would probably not give Sukup the ball again until middle of the 3rd quarter.
Brandon Smith made that last tackle, but it's Mitchell Thompson handing it off to Backer on 3rd down. Backer able to get to the yard marker. Did he get enough? They're going to point forward and move it. It is 1st and 10. They'll be just outside the 35-yard line. As Jay said, we're winding down towards that 2-minute warning, and they're content to let it roll inside field goal territory and looking for 7. Looking to maybe put the Hounds away here in the first half. Mankato, we talked about it. When they get a lead, they do not relinquish it, but we'll see what the Greyhounds defense has to say about that. 14-7 here at Key Stadium. Mankato leads it. Welcome back into Key Stadium. Ball at the 36-yard line. Mankato's been driving down the field. Jace, we have an update on the future opponents of the winner of this game. Who is winning?
And the other game, Super Region 3 today, the Ashland Eagles, the Ferris State Bulldogs. This one started, interestingly, being 14-0 Ashland, was 17-14 Ashland. Well, completely shifted. Ferris State leading that one 42-17 halfway through the 3rd quarter. So the Bulldogs look to be well on their way to another Super Region 3 championship appearance.
And during the break, we talked, and it's going to be tough for this Greyhound team to get defense or get stops because Minnesota State is playing like they have 4 downs.
Yeah, they're running the ball. They're getting 4 yards, 5 yards a carry, and it's tough to stop when they have that big presence they have up front.
Out to Backer that is, in the backfield. He gets his back plate ripped off by a Greyhound, but he's taken down at the line of scrimmage. That'll set up 2nd down. Clock continues to wind, and I think they're content with 3 points. They definitely would like the 7, but I think they're content heading in with a 10-point lead.
Their kicker's really good as well, too. He's hit from 51 this year. So a guy who they can line up from long, with the wind not really favoring them on this scenario. So
wind blowing into the booth here, and maybe a little bit in favor of Mankato. But a pass for Mitchell Thompson. Was that a one-hand catch? Referee says no. That would have been a highlight play. You might have saw that on SportsCenter Top 10, but the Greyhounds escape.
Now this is one you get to stop here. You get the football back.
That's exactly where I was going. They run the ball, and that allows the clock to run. But as soon as you pass it, you run that risk of an incompletion, stopping the clock. And now if it's kind of a question, I would say you're in that obvious pass situation, but we've seen them run the ball in this scenario. 2 receivers to either side. Backer in the backfield alongside Mitchell Thompson.
Wouldn't be surprised to see a halfback draw here, like you mentioned, Jake. Delayed handoff is a scenario here. You got 4 down linemen.
The Greyhounds do not seem to be matched up. And they do not match up. It's a zone wide open on the far side. Got Connor Staff able to make the play and get the first down for Mankato. Jace, you were kind of smacking your head over here because he was wide open.
Wide open. There was nobody near him. Another underneath throughout. The Greyhounds were playing that zone coverage. There was no one guarding that flat that time. And got to have someone there on a play like that. You know where they're going from, right at the sticks.
And you can guard the flat, but if there's no one there, you got to float up and cover the deeper route. I saw earlier Michigan played that perfectly against Julian Say, and they picked him off trying to go to trying to go to Jeremiah Smith on the first play of the game. He tried to throw a back shoulder pass, and they just ran that underneath flat guy. They just bumped him up a little bit, and he picked him off. Huge play for them. Obviously, Ohio State's got things under control. But Mitchell Thompson drops back, has to step up in the pocket. Great pocket presence, but Cornell Branch able to get in there, take him down by the ankles, not before he picks up 2 yards. Clock continues to run. We're at 30, and it's 3rd down. Minnesota State will call their first timeout of the half. You were wondering when that was going to come. It finally does, but just 30 seconds on the clock. Minnesota State set up with a 3rd and 5. Jace?
And you got to wonder out here on 3rd down. The Greyhounds have not. They've gotten 1 stop on 3rd down. They're able to fall by, I believe, a 4th down conversion. So 7 of 8 so far for Minnesota State on 3rd down. 1 of 1 on 4th down. The Greyhounds have yet to get a stop defensively. This is one you're going to want because you're heading towards a halftime break. The Mavericks get the football after the halftime stoppage, and at this point, you want to make it as minimal as possible on the scoreboard. So holding to a field goal here would be a significant win for the Greyhounds to show them to themselves that they can get a stop on defense. They can stop the Mavericks inside the red zone, a team who's been very hard to stop in this red zone all year long. You get a stop here. You shift some momentum heading in to halftime. You're down by 10, yes, but you're still on your home turf. You still have a chance to come back second half with your offense, who has been great all year long. But right here, a stop is needed. You don't want to allow Mankato to score a touchdown again.
How about some numbers real quick? Mankato's run 43 plays. They have 17 first downs. How about the Greyhounds have 17 plays run and 5 first downs?
Another 3rd down chance for the Greyhounds. Can they get the stop?
As Jay said, this is a big one. A lot of motion prior to the snap. Thompson throws it to Backer. Backer escapes the tackle, and he's inside the 5-yard line. Gets the first down and a little bit more. 24 on the clock. He was taken down inside. The clock will continue, or inbounds that is. Clock will continue to run, but Minnesota State will call a timeout to avoid that, and I think the mentality has shifted a little bit. It was, okay, we can get the field goal. I think now it's turned into we're going to go get 7.
Absolutely, and that's the same design there. Another running back out of the backfield. The Greyhounds have Wilson on a matchup, but Wilson's already back deep in, kind of the defensive backfield, and the matchups just aren't there right now. The Greyhounds love to play that deep zone coverage, but you got to wonder at some point, do they pop into a man for a play or two trying to stop these underneath short passes?
Mitchell Thompson's ran the ball 6 times, but just 7 yards. The Greyhounds have done a good job of keeping him under control, but it's been Sam Backer. Backer has 12 runs for 50 yards, and he's found the end zone once. Carter Henderson kind of backing him up. He's got 8 carries for 34 yards. And then LeBarion Gilmore, we saw him come in and run a jet sweep for Mankato. Backer and Thompson will line up in the backfield for the Mavericks.
Soft coverage again. on the far side.
Jay says look to the far side of the field. Mitchell Thompson must not have heard him. He finally heads over to that side, but he's almost taken down, and finally the Greyhounds get to him. There were quite a few black jerseys around there, but, man, Mankato's blocking is pretty solid.
Absolutely. I mean, I told you in the pregame, told you throughout the course of the game, they have this big physical offensive line. The Greyhounds, just to me, don't have the pure athlete, the pure size to really compete with this offensive line in the trenches right now. And now, with this being Mankato's last time out, Jake, 30 seconds to go. If the Greyhounds can keep them in bounds here, it could cause some chaos. But for Minnesota State, I would imagine one shot to the end zone. If you don't get it, you might just kick the field goal and take your losses.
That was about the worst thing that could have happened. And if you ever watch college football, you'll always hear them talk about you can't take a sack in that 2-minute drill. It absolutely kills it, no matter what point in the drive. And I don't think that's necessarily going to go in the stat book as a sack, but either way, you get tackled inbounds, you had to waste that time out, and like you said, now there's maybe one chance to go to the end zone, but it can't be a run.
Here.
And it can't be across the middle of the field. It has to be towards the outside, and I think that maybe helps the Greyhounds a little bit. They can kind of cheat towards that, but, you know, Mitchell Thompson can also run the ball. Thompson and Backer in the backfield. He'll roll out to his left side. He's looking, and it's tipped, almost picked off. Eli Liapis got a hand on it, and it was almost intercepted. But
one more chance at the end zone.
Mitchell Thompson gets lucky there and didn't take too much time.
And you had two layers in the zone that time. It was a comeback route for the receiver and guy. You had a guy kind of over the top and a guy underneath as well. That layered coverage is what you want down in this red zone area to try to force anything to be thrown. It's going to have to be an elite throw to be made.
It's DeBrent Johnson on the far side wearing number 10. He had that pass interference earlier in the game, almost made up for it with an interception. Third down, Mitchell Thompson takes it, looking to his right side, throws it, it's caught. Beautiful offense, and it is Hudson Dillon who gets it, the redshirt freshman, his third touchdown of the season. Just like that, a chance to make it a 14-point lead as you head into half, and the Mavericks, a chance to double up. They get it coming out of the break.
And that was essentially a pick play that time. You have the two receivers lined up. One comes inside, the other one does the same thing, but you kind of have that pick being set by one of the receivers. It's legal as long as it's not purposeful, and it was a legal play that time, and a great design by the offensive unit of Minnesota State Mankato.
Jalen Gavon would have been the one to make the play, but just a step behind Dillon, and with 5 seconds to go, Mankato will kick it off, and the Greyhounds maybe a chance for a big play here. They had the co-special teams player of the year in Anthony Crowell. He was, well, I guess technically special teams and defense, but he was an all-star for this squad, not only on the punt returns, but he's been filling in at corner. He started off the season as a receiver. I mean, this guy has been moved around every single spot for the Greyhounds. And
this would be a time for a return right here.
It's kind of what I was alluding to, but Minnesota State Mankato, solid defense, solid special teams, and they're kicking into the win, so it definitely presents a challenge. Last time, the Greyhounds had a kickoff return, or at least the chance to return one. It was Caden Ollinger. You'll see him standing there at the 30-yard line. Well, right now we're looking at the Minnesota State side, but as you turn over at the 30-yard line, you'll see Caden Ollinger. He brought back that last kick for about 20, 30 yards into Minnesota State territory. The Greyhounds looking to replicate that. It's a low kick. Not a great one, but it is touched, and the Greyhounds just have to fall on it. You expected the squib kick, but you didn't know exactly where it was going to go. The Greyhounds able to fall on it.
Was Price, I believe, who fell on that one.
Absolutely right. Colin Price, we usually see a little bit more of him later in the game once the Greyhounds have a lead or are trailing. Either way is where we tend to see him, and Sukup will line up under center and what we usually call victory formation, but he will take the knee. 21-7. As Jay said, the Greyhounds have not trailed since week 4, and it's been a while since they've went into the half trailing. I believe that Findlay game in week 2 was the last time they went into the half trailing. But we've got 20 minutes of a break, 20 minutes for Coach Keevers to make some changes, and 20 minutes for Minnesota Mankato to kind of solidify the game plan and come back out in the second half. We'll bring you that second half of action here on ESPN+. Back here in the Circle City for the second half of action, Minnesota State leads the Greyhounds 21-7. Jace, it was pretty much exactly what we expected from Minnesota State. The Greyhounds maybe struggled a little bit more on defense, but I think the real story is time of possession.
Yeah, time of possession is the big thing we're looking at right now. 21:59. So basically 22 minutes to 8 minutes in favor of the Greyhounds. It almost equals the score on the scoreboard right now at 22-8 advantage. And that was just Minnesota State controlling the ball, keeping the ball on the ground, taking the underneath short passes. That was them keeping the ball short, gaining about 6 to 7 yards per play. And that's all they really needed over the course of this game because they've been keeping the ball on the ground, keeping that clock rolling, and keeping the ball out of Gavin Sukup's hands. That was the game plan that we said that Minnesota State should follow, and they have so far. They've kept the ball away from Gavin Sukup, and when he had the ball, they had the one big play the Greyhounds did, but outside of that, they've been pretty much blanketing down in coverage so far, and Sukup can't find anything deep against this Mavericks defense, so the Mavericks playing exactly to their hands so far and playing the way they should.
As we take a look at the graphic on screen, 21-7 the score, 131 passing yards for Minnesota State, just 34 for the Greyhounds, probably the opposite of what we were expecting, but 102 rushing yards for Minnesota State, 122 for the Greyhounds, and a lot of those came on that run from Justers Fataki on that first possession, the only score for the Greyhounds. They have 5 first downs and have held the ball for 8 minutes. As Jay said, on the flip side of that, Minnesota State 18 first downs, and they've had the ball for just under 22 minutes. Jace, we'll go ahead as we've got about a minute and a half here before the Greyhounds kick things off. We'll start with Minnesota State. How do they keep things going, and how do they finish this off with a win?
They play Maverick style of football, ground and pound. They keep this football on the ground. And they probably win this game. The Greyhounds, they need to get a stop defensively, but Minnesota State so far just using that big push up front with that front 5 on the offensive line, and the running back Backer's had a great day for himself so far. Backer 2 touchdowns, nearly 100 total yards in both the rushing and receiving game for the running back Sam Backer, and as long as they use him and keep doing what they're doing, they should be mighty okay. For the Greyhounds, my one key to the second half is they need a stop on this first possession. If not, this was going to get out of hand quickly. Minnesota State, they scored heading into half. They have a chance to score coming out of half because they get the football first. The Greyhounds need to get a stop on this first possession to get the football back in the hands of your top 2 offense in Division II. They are averaging, 47 points per game this season, second to only Ferris State in Division II. You want to get this football to your offense who can score and score in a hurry, and if they're able to do that quickly, if they can get a stop on this first possession, get the ball back to Gavin Sukup in the offense, they'll be right back in this game in just a matter of minutes, realistically. But it all starts up front right now for the Greyhounds. Danny Royster, Julian Dandridge, this defensive line for the Greyhounds, Brandon Smith and Cornell Branch, they need to get some pressure. They need to get into the backfield as quickly as possible, and I want to see some more pressure from the linebackers as well. We've seen Wilson get the backfield a few times today, but Contreras and Franklin haven't heard much of their names so far. Contreras, a guy who has had a great season so far, so Contreras, I want to see a little bit more from him and Franklin in the second half from the linebacker core, tackling-wise, to stop these 8-9 yard runs and turn it into more like 3 or 4 per rush.
And that's the difference. That's what Minnesota State does. They force other teams to run the ball, and then they stop the run, and then they run the ball very well on offense, take a lot of time off of the clock, and that's exactly what they were able to do in that first half. Thank you for your keys to the game. Jace, it will be Colin Seymour this time out to kick for the Greyhounds. Caught at the 3-yard line. It will be returned. A couple of nice blocks. That's Amon Williams, and a flag will be thrown, and he gets pushed forward. Another flag behind the play. So a little bit of laundry on the field to start the second half. Takes about 12 seconds off the clock, and we'll get those rulings as the referees dish them out.
Usually from that area from where it signals, I would think a holding on the return team here.
And as Jace has alluded to, it will be a holding, so it appears the referees both saw the same thing. There will only be one flag, but that will move them back, and they'll say the holding happened at the 25, so they'll move them back 10 yards from there. And Mitchell Thompson in this Maverick offense will start off at their own 15-yard line.
Honestly, my favorite Minnesota State, though, the way they run the ball, this would be give them more room to work with, more time to turn off if they're able to go for another long drive. We've already seen an 18-play, 11-minute drive out of this offense so far. And so far, 3 drives and 3 touchdowns offensively for this Minnesota State team. Expect more of a dose of run here to begin this drive.
Thompson drops back to pass, looking deep. He's going to have to step up in the pocket now, working out to the right side, gets that sideline. Might have gotten a yard, but not much available on the far sideline. And you look at a lot of teams and you'll say that they struggle to get into the end zone, but this team almost struggles to stay out of the end zone. You want to take as much time on these drives, especially when you're running the ball. We saw them do it perfectly in the first half. That 22 minutes of time of possession, that's every game.
Yeah. They control the ball, and they control it well. They do a great job in working the clock, and it's been the same story under this head coach, Todd Hoffner, for 15 years. They've played this style of play all 15 seasons.
We'll get to Hoffner in just a second as that pass is off the mark. Mitchell Thompson.
You had him, though, on the slant.
Had his guy. That was Grant Guyett. 2 catches for 19 yards against Findlay last week. That brings up 3rd and 9. And, Jace, you were calling for a stop from the Greyhounds.
Got to get one here. Minnesota State went 10 of 11 on 3rd down in that first half. You got to get a stop. And on that 1 3rd down that they didn't convert, Jake, they went for it on 4th down and got it. They have not been stopped yet today. 3rd and 8. This is your chance to do so. Play the sticks.
2 receivers to either side. Thompson in the backfield. He'll send a man in motion, and that's Stoff. He's looking over at Stoff, but it's tipped at the line of scrimmage. The Greyhounds get that stop that Jay's called for, and Gavin Sukup in this offense coming back onto the field. Well, obviously a punt in between those 2 plays.
He had the receiver open, though, on the sideline. Again, it was kind of one of those receiver wheel routes that time down the sideline. He had him, but a great job getting the hands up by the defensive line because it was a low throw that time by Thompson.
That's something you see more at the NFL level than anything, and honestly some college games too. At the Division I level, the linemen are so tall they can get their hands up there and smack down the ball, and right there, a great job by the Greyhounds as they will now be rewarded with some pretty solid field position, but a nice punt fielded by Crowell. Crowell escapes a couple tackles, heading up the left side, makes a man miss, and into Maverick territory.
Anthony Crowell, one of the biggest threats on special teams in the nation. Honestly, it was, I believe, co-special teams player of the year in the GLVC. This guy's an absolute unit on the return game. Look at this job by evading tacklers and able to get downfield. The blocks downfield as well, beautiful. The punter got his shoelaces that time to force him down, but Crowell does a nice job of working downfield, splitting tacklers, and getting extra yards for this offense who can explode in a hurry. You get them a short field. It's going to be a great chance for this Greyhounds team to get right back in the game here.
They have stalled out inside the 10, forced a field goal. The Minnesota State defense did, and they were able to block that same field goal. Crowell, who just returned it in on offense, he was the one in motion, but it goes to Sherrill. Sherrill runs a guy over. He sends him into the dirt.
You know, Jake, we heard last week Charles on the call compared them to, Sonic and Knuckles and Jameer Gibbs and Dave Montgomery. Sherrill known for more of the Gibbs side of things, the speed, showing some power that time. Earlier we saw Fataki going a long run, so they're kind of trading the deal right now in this game.
There was no doubt in his mind. He wasn't hitting the spin move button. He wasn't jumping. He wasn't doing anything.
He's usually a guy who does jump, who does spin. You don't see much of the shoulder laying down by Sherrill.
Sherrill will get the ball again. 2 good runs in a row, and this Greyhound front 5 is getting a pretty solid push. First down, the Greyhounds just inside that GLVC logo at the 25-yard line.
And you can feel a different energy from this team now. You can see the sideline starting to light up. You can feel the energy shifting here at Key from the Greyhounds. They knew at a halftime I would love to be a fly on the wall to hear what Kiefer said in that locker room, because the Greyhounds will come out with a different intensity to begin the second half of play.
Wouldn't we all? Sukup lines up, Sherrill alongside him. It's a fake handoff to Sherrill looking down the field. It's caught. Big play for Sukup. It's his tight end, Colton Wilkie.
And that's a similar play that Minnesota State's run this whole game, kind of that wheel look for a tight end this time, and a beautifully placed back shoulder ball by Sukup over top of the linebacker that time in man coverage, and Wilkie finds it, keeps the feet in bounds, and now you're set up nicely in the red zone. Jake, empty backfield here.
As you said, an empty backfield. That last play, we got a good look at that, and a beautiful throw from Sukup and a great adjustment from Colton Wilkie to make the play, bring it down inbounds. It's going to be a fake handoff. It is a handoff. Sherrill gets it, getting a nice push inside the 5-yard line. They'll say he was stopped forward progress at the 3-yard line.
I like the idea that time you go empty backfield, you make the defense think, oh, here comes the pass or a quarterback run, then you motion everybody over, you get tighter on the offensive line, you're bringing 2 tight ends and one on each side, and you run up the gut with Sherrill, who's had some success in this drive so far. But I think to punch it in here, you're going to have to go back to your bread and butter as the passing game.
While the Greyhounds are moving the ball, they're moving it very quickly, and we know what that Minnesota State offense can do when they get the ball. As Jay said, this is almost a must-score opportunity. Sukup looking to his right, looks back into the middle. He's going to take off. Diving inside, he gets taken down from behind. A flag will be thrown. Jay says it's going to be taken back, and we'll see exactly.
It's also a dangerous run for Sukup. He was holding the ball out with one hand while getting tackled. A chance for a fumble that time, but not like it matters.
So it is a holding. The Greyhounds will be moved back 10 yards. It was Tanner Olson who's actually going to pick up a sack, his 5th sack of the year. That was technically 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage. So Sukup goes down. They'll credit it a sack, and just adding to the awesome season that Olson's had.
Honestly, I'm not sure if the Greyhounds mind this. They're usually better with more field to work with here. They're more of a deep shot team. They don't really work as well in the red zone. We've seen this season them okay in the red zone, but
trips out to the right. Sukup looking downfield. He gets hit as he throws. Colton Wilkie comes away with it. Touchdown, Greyhounds. This was exactly where Minnesota State made Finley pay. Chase Harrison got hit. He threw one over the middle of the field. It got intercepted. This is where the Greyhounds just kind of changed the momentum. Colton Wilkie took that out of the air. Here you go. Throws it up. Bang. He went and got that. Took a big lick from the safety, but he brought it down 21-13, and the extra point on the way. Minnesota State did block a field goal earlier in this contest. It's up and good. You might wonder why that field goal looks a little wonky. Pretty windy here in Indianapolis before this game got started. Might have had a little bit to do with the bend in the field goal, but it makes it all that much easier to make it 21-14. The Greyhounds, they've got a little bit of life, but Minnesota State's offense coming back when we return on ESPN+. Back in a flash, 21-14. Don't think too fast. The Greyhounds, they're working their way back into this one. If anyone can make some halftime adjustments, it's Coach Keevers. And we said we were going to talk about Coach Hoffner, and we'll get to him whenever this Minnesota State offense gets onto the field. But, man, does he win. That's about all he does.
He's a winner. That's all you can say.
You look up Kurt Signetti. You can also look up Hoffner, and you're going to see he's a winner. Taken out from inside or right about that 10-yard line. They'll start their drive at about the 27-yard line. Mitchell Thompson comes out. But, Jace, take a look at just some of the accolades of Coach Todd Hoffner in his 15th season here with the Mavericks.
I got to name all these down. 2 NCAA title game appearances, 7 conference titles in the NSIC, 11 NCAA tournament appearances. He has not had a losing season, 15 winning seasons, 26 All-Americans, and the most wins in team history, 151. Jake, this guy has been an absolute winner in his 15 seasons as the head coach of the Mavericks.
And that's kind of the short version of that list. We could have kept going. Sam Backer breaks through the line and gets 5 yards, a nice first down. We saw him do that well in the first half, and the Greyhounds were able to stop it at least momentarily on that first drive. But how do they keep stopping this Minnesota State team or offense, I should say, something they really did not do at all in the first half.
They got to get pressed up here. You want to see less of that zone coverage and more of that man, press up against the receivers, and see the linebackers kind of pressing up more now to begin this drive as well.
Hand off to Backer once again. He gets hit hard. Alvin Contreras, you called for him. Here he goes. Gets a nice hit there, sets up 3rd down. They'll need about 7.
Exactly what you want. I told you the linebackers are pressing up more now, Jake. These linebackers about 2 yards off of the defensive line. They're bringing them more on some pressure, some blitzes to try to force everything backwards, and it's working right now. against a team who's more physical, you have to bring more bodies. And right now, they're doing that in this second half.
Mavericks line up for 3rd and 6. I thought it was going to be 7, but Mitchell Thompson, he only needs 6. He throws it across the middle, and it will be caught. Nasir Jones, his tight end, able to make a nice play on the ball. He's up to 20 catches on the season. A little bit under 200 yards. He's found the end zone 5 times, but more importantly, that brings up another first down for Minnesota State, and the time keeps on ticking. We're under 10 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter.
That's a big conversion from Minnesota State. They're kind of quiet everything down. The Greyhounds have gotten going momentum-wise. Now you can try to get one of those sustainable drives again.
Backer takes it up the middle. Couple men miss. That's Contreras diving at his ankles, but another great first down run, and he got 9 yards.
It sets you up now on a 2nd down and short, and we see a lot of these teams that are run heavy go to a shot play here. Watch for a play action, watch for a bootleg, and watch for a deep shot downfield here on 2nd down and 1 for Minnesota State, a team who doesn't take many deep shots, but this is an opportunity for them to do that right here.
I've also seen them use that expectation against the Greyhounds and running the draw. Lots of different opportunities here. 2 receivers to the top, 1 to the bottom of your screen. It will just be a handoff, and Backer will pick up the first down. They didn't want to mess around, just going to go ahead and move the chains into Greyhound territory now. A fresh set of 4 for Mitchell Thompson, and Sam Backer will be replaced by Carter Henderson. And I don't know, I think some of these Greyhound fans might have cheated a little bit. They might not have been here in the first half. They might have just showed up for the good part here in the second half. They just want to see who wins right now.
Probably staying in their car, staying warm.
That's what I was thinking. 21-14, the crowd's gotten a little bit bigger, as I just mentioned, but Minnesota State trying to keep them quiet. It's a throw out to Henderson, and Henderson didn't even get turned around.
What the Greyhounds did that time. They put someone in man coverage and the running back out of the backfield. Exactly what they have needed to do the whole game, because this back has been wide open out of the flat, out of the wheel route that time, and you put a defensive end and man coverage surprisingly kind of pops out from that edge spot and guards the running back. That's a beautiful design that time defensively for the Greyhounds to stop that.
That's what I was going to say. You don't usually see the defensive end out in man coverage, but out in the flats, he shuts down the play before it even gets started. That'll set up 2nd and 10. Just under 8:30 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Handoff. Mitchell Thompson gives it to Carter Henderson. Henderson gets about 5 yards, drags himself forward, and that'll set up 3rd and 5.
It's a good gain of 5. Set you up nicely on a 3rd and manageable here. It's what they've done all game long. They've done a nice job of getting ahead of the downs, getting more manageable downs, and 3rd and 5. The whole playbook's open here. You can go for anything. You can go for a handoff. You can go for a quick pass, both of which have worked most of this game so far. You look at this team so far, 11 of 13 on 3rd downs. They've got it going on 3rd down so far, and you'll see probably another good play call here. Something short, something underneath, something quick that will try to get near the sticks.
All receivers are in tight. 1 out wide. That was Guyot. That's where he's looking down the field. Guyot beat his man, but he's able to recover. Nice defense by the Greyhounds on the far side of the field. I think
Gavon.
That's Jalen Gavon. That's exactly
He got back in a hurry.
He
was beat. He got beat. It was a double move that time by Guyot. Guyot had him beat down the field, but Gavon covers a little bit of an underthrow that time by Thompson. If Thompson puts on the money, it's a touchdown.
That's a touchdown. That should have been a touchdown.
Completely on that release, Guyot completely burned Gavon.
It was a nice route by Guyot, and you see why he's the top receiver of this team. 34 catches, 621 yards.
Big play, Jake.
2 touchdowns. It's 4th down, Minnesota State in that gray area. Do you punt it? They're going for it. Mitchell Thompson puts a man in motion. That's Dillon. He's looking for Dillon. He finds his man across the middle of the field. That was who he put in motion, or excuse me, the guy he put in motion was a distraction. That was LeMarion Gilmore. Gilmore had a big first down pickup to end the first quarter. Now he comes in and makes another big play. He's only got about 20 yards, but they're 20 massive yards. That sets up first down.
They had a curl route, the first down sticks for a tight end. That took away 2 Greyhound bodies, and that allowed open the field to get more open. It was a little bit of an off throw by Thompson, but a good recovery by the receiver to haul it down and survive that hit as well to get Minnesota State an extra set of downs here.
Handoff up the middle. Henderson runs into the linebacking core of the Greyhounds before he's taken down. gets about 3 yards, maybe 4. They'll say it's 2nd and 6, and this Minnesota State team getting back on schedule, getting back to what they were doing in that first half, now in field goal territory. They're just going to –
and this clock just keeps on rolling, man.
Exactly. Going to keep winding the clock. That's the game plan, and I think we're starting to see a lot more of this, at least in the Indiana high school level, Jace. Yesterday, 2 of the high school state finals games, you saw teams that – run the wing tee. They just like to run the ball, grind down the defense, and waste as much time as possible, keep the other quarterback off the field. Minnesota State's been successful. A fake screen. Mitchell Thompson makes a phenomenal decision to pull it down.
I don't think that was a fake screen. I think that was a design screen that got blown up by the Greyhounds.
Kind of what I was alluding to. He fakes it at the screen. It was a screen set up for the tight end there, but Mitchell Thompson saw it was covered, and usually you would just see the tight end throw it in the dirt because there's 4 linemen running at him, not Mitchell Thompson. Mitchell Thompson uses his feet. He's able to work around the Greyhound linebacking core, and eventually he's taken down by a safety, but not before he gets to the 12-yard line. They're knocking on the door of another touchdown. Thompson in the shotgun. He'll hand it off to Backer. Backer takes it up the middle, and he's taken down. Jarrell Franklin in there alongside Eli Leopis to make the tackle. But
you got to bring more bodies than 4 in a run there.
Minnesota State just running it, and it is working. And if it's not broke, don't fix it. 5:20 on the clock. Mitchell Thompson, they brought in a couple extra big guys. They're going to run it straight down the middle. Backer got inside the 5-yard line but stood up. They'll mark him down at the 3-yard line. That's going to bring up a big 3rd down here, but as we know, they're not scared to go for it on 4th down. Coming into this contest, Minnesota State was 19 of 28. They're now 20 of 29 going for it on 4th down.
I was going to say quarterback sneak, but he's out of the guns, maybe not.
There is a 1st down inside the 2-yard line to be gotten. Mitchell Thompson in the end zone, though. He runs into a Greyhound but stays on his feet. He's in the end zone. It is 27-14. Minnesota State comes down and answers the Greyhound score. A long, methodical drive once again. They have run 41 more plays than the Greyhounds in this contest. 63-22 the play count. 22 1st downs. They've got as many 1st downs as the Greyhounds have plays. The Greyhounds have just 7 1st downs, but they still only find themselves down by 13. Time of possession is really telling the story. Kick is up, extra point is good. Make it a 14-point lead for the Mavericks as we've got 4:46 to go in the 3rd. This game's not over at all. The Greyhounds will look to answer with Gavin Sukup heading back onto the field when we return. Twenty-eight to 14, the road team leads it. Minnesota State looking for their 2nd road win of their playoff journey, and they are really no stranger to the playoffs, Jace. They've made it, 16 times they've made it to the playoffs. They have a record, I believe it's 15-18 in the record. And their last time in, they lost to Valdosta last year, who went to the championship 35-21. Yeah, that's where I was going with. They were in Super Region 4, which is arguably maybe this year, I would say tough. Probably a little bit harder. You add Harding, Pitt State, Northwest is back to what they've been, or at least getting back to the point where they won, I believe, like 6 of 8 national championships at one point throughout the early 2000s and 2010s. But right now, Minnesota State is looking to kind of do what they've been doing. I wouldn't say they were necessarily an underdog coming into this contest, but coming into the tournament, they had lost 2 of their last 3 games, and
people had called for them not to be in.
Exactly. That's kind of where I'm going with
over
this. They're saying making a statement with these two first games. They come in and destroy one of the best defenses in all of Division II in Findlay, and now Greyhounds have one of the better rush defenses, and they're doing whatever they want. It'll be a touchback as Gillum lets it go into the gray Indianapolis end zone, and Gavin Sukup will start with his squad at the 25.
You got to respond to that touchdown and drive Minnesota State. And, you know, with the way Minnesota State handles the football, if you give them the ball back, they're going to waste, 7, 8 more minutes with a few more first downs. Seems the way things going. You got to respond here. You don't respond here, things get out of hand quickly with the way Minnesota State plays football. But, the Greyhounds, an electric offense, second best in the nation this year in scoring. You would expect them to respond.
To run up the middle, though, getting to the 30-yard line is Juster Svataki. We haven't really said much of his name since that big run in the first quarter, but he's working his way back in. I think Garrett Sherrill was really the premier back in that last drive. He got a lot of the big carries. He was the one drawing the attention with the decoy motion pre-snap, and we see a lot of that. The Greyhounds will line up 2 receivers to either side. There's the motion we just called for. Sherrill alone, but he's going to hit Carver at that 40-yard line. He's heading to the 50 before he's brought down. He does lose it, and it's going to stay with the Greyhounds. Greyhounds probably lucky that one went out of bounds. There were 4 white jerseys.
Best roll possible.
Yeah, that was about best case scenario as Caleb Carver makes the catch but loses it at the end. We dip under 4 minutes
to go. Seen the Greyhounds escape a lot of fumbles these past few weeks.
Well, that's the Minnesota State way. They've recovered 11 of them and now I believe forced 22 throughout the season. Sukup gets gulfed up in the backfield. Looked like they weren't going to be able to bring him down, but finally someone is able to find him, and that someone is Marcus Hansen. Hansen has his second sack of the year, now 4.5 tackle for losses.
This guy's a unit. First team all-conference this year. He's in the backfield consistently. The stats don't necessarily show that, but this guy's in the backfield a lot this year. Hasn't gotten the stats to, necessarily portray how good of an athlete this guy is, but right there he chased him down, hawked him down.
As a defensive end, though, I think it's more about the presence than it is the stats. The stats never are as good as they should be, as a run up the middle is stuffed, and that'll bring up a 3rd and long for the Greyhounds. But kind of what I was saying, unless you're a Myles Garrett, maybe a Trey Hendrickson, someone who is at that end specifically to get to the quarterback, you're more there to contain the quarterback, make him feel your presence, maybe make him step up in the pocket. And right now they're getting to Sukup. He just had to bring the ball down, step up in the pocket. He was unable to find anyone deep. That brings up 3rd and 11. 3 receivers at the top of your screen. Caleb Carver alone at the bottom. He was looking for Carver. Carver gets triple teamed. Sukup has all the time in the world. Nowhere to go with it. He gets slammed in the backfield, and yep.
Oh,
you
wow.
saw that come in. He landed right on top of him. You cannot land with all your weight on the quarterback. That'll be a 15-yard penalty every single time. That's something you see in all the big games in the defensive ends.
It's going to bail the Greyhounds out here.
It will bail them out, but you see the defensive ends, they'll always turn around and question, and 9 times out of 10, they put all 300 pounds on the quarterback.
Yeah, you can't put your body weight in the quarterback. You just something you can't do. But, I mean, looking back at that play, for the play as a whole, before the penalty, this is the same way we mentioned earlier. Grand Valley beat the Greyhounds by putting 8 back in coverage and just blanketing everything. Sukup had nowhere to throw the football.
He's got to take off on his feet. You got 5 seconds, 10 seconds in the backfield. At some point, you got to realize that everybody's dropped back. Just take your 5 yards and go. I know it's
3rd and long.
Down.
It was going to be tough.
I understand that you're trying to convert, but Sukup's able to get 10 yards on his legs pretty often. Either way, the Greyhounds get out of trouble. It's first down at the 41-yard line. Garrett Sherrill taking advantage of the field position. He's inside the 30. They'll say he's down at the 27-yard line, and the Greyhounds maybe a little gasp of breath with that penalty.
Look at the line change by Minnesota State here, bringing in a whole new defensive unit after the Sherrill run.
We've seen them do that a couple of times, just running them in and out, and there's not a lot of bodies over on that Minnesota State sideline. You'll see just about a regular roster, maybe 50 people on that sideline, but 50 people that are very valuable to this team, and almost every single one of them plays.
Big chance for Indianapolis here. Down by 14. You got to punch it in the end zone on this possession. Look up top. Man coverage, you would presume, with the way they're setting up here.
Jace is calling for it. It's Alonzo Derrick, Caleb Carver up top. Down low, Colton Wilkie. It's just going to be a quarterback run, and he gets laid out in the backfield. Sukup's going to feel that one tomorrow. Jefferson Mowbray the redshirt freshman. He has 4 interceptions this year, doesn't have a sack or a tackle for loss, but he gets his first there. It'll be a
the
loss
newcomer of the
1.
year in the Northern Sun for a reason. This guy has been an absolute great addition just as a redshirt freshman. His first year playing collegiate football, and this guy's had an absolutely great year playing that linebacker position for Minnesota State, and showing right there his quickness, his agility to get to the quarterback.
Another one of those guys that's not necessarily blowing the stat sheet out of the water, but it's that presence. Sukup drops back. It's a play action off of Sherrill. He's going to have to step up in the pocket, trying to use his legs. He gets a nice block, but he gets taken down by the corner. That was Edmund Okanzi. Okanzi able to make the play, and the Greyhounds running out of time here in the third quarter, but lucky for them, they've got 15 more minutes to play. That'll bring up 3rd and 6 here, and they will have to run one more play before the end of the third quarter. Looks as though Anthony Crow, Caleb Carver at the top of your screen, Marquise Gillum, and Alonzo Derrick at the bottom. In the backfield, it's Justers Fataki. Fataki in motion now. Sukup out of the shotgun, looking down the field. It was a low throw and dropped.
He caught it.
He
was
able
air.
to bring it back.
Stayed in the air.
Ooh.
That's it in the air, Jake.
The Greyhounds are going to run a play really quick.
Yeah.
They're calling for a review from the sideline.
I think that hovered in the air. I think that stayed on top of him. That's one of the craziest catches you'll see.
That was a very low throw from Sukup, and he's trying to get a play called, but that will be the end of the third quarter, so the referees will have some time to stew on that, potentially go and watch the replay. But Jace is pretty confident that was a catch, and if it was an impressive one at that. He rolled over with the ball. It bounced up.
It
looked
in
like
the air.
Potential interception opportunity, but right now they're saying Crow came back down with it. It'll be 1st and 7 on the 7. The Greyhounds looking to cut this to a 1-score game. It's 28-14, Minnesota State ahead. Welcome back to Key Stadium. We did get a look at that last catch, and we'll take a look, show you what we saw. Maybe might have not been a catch, but hit the ground right there. I don't know if you could see that. It hit right by the head of Anthony Crow. Either way, though, they're going to call it a catch, and the Greyhounds make the 88 or so yard walk down to the other side of the field. They'll have it at the 7. Sukup alone in the backfield, and there is a stoppage in play. I don't see a flag on the field, but I'm presuming there's got to be one or they wouldn't have stopped it like that. We are hearing some whisperings of potentially 12 men on the field. The referees coming over to talk to head coach Chris Keevers. Maybe the clock got started a little late or maybe a little early. Either way, we're going to redo it.
Might have saved Sukup too because he was under pressure immediately.
He was about to get laid out in the backfield, but also maybe a Greyhound or two wasn't playing due to the whistle that had been blown. Play clock continues to wind. Carver and Derrick down at the bottom of your screen. It was a direct snap and a handoff, and it's intercepted. Picked off in the end zone. The Greyhounds tried to do a little bit of trickery, and it does not work. So it was a fake handoff, or, well, I guess a direct
It was hands
snap.
off to Sukup.
Yeah, direct snap to Fataki. Fataki hands it off to Sukup. We'll get a look at this right here, and here's right after the handoff. Sukup throws it up and could not make the snag.
Sukup threw it too high, I think.
Callan Okerson, the freshman tight end, gets thrown into the fire here in the second round in a massive play for the Mavericks.
I don't like getting fancy with the play calling when you're down by 14 here in the playoffs. You got to, get back to your bread and butter, get back to the simplistic play calling. You get a little fancy there. You throw it to a bigger tight end, but the tight end just can't go up and make the catch. And I think Sukup kind of overthrew it that time, too. He lofted that high in the air. It was hanging for quite some time.
Okerson never really had a chance to jump up and get to it. It was the linebacker who was able to get up there. We'll get that exact jersey number for you as soon as it updates. But a massive play for Minnesota State. Now the Greyhound defense will have to try and get Gavin Sukup the ball back following his.
And that's easier said than done right now with this Minnesota State team. They've gotten one stop so far defensively. It's been 5 drives, 4 touchdowns for the Mavericks thus far. And all 4 of those drives have amassed, I believe, over 10 plays.
Just Gavin Sukup's 6th interception this season, and if I'm not mistaken, his 10th in 2 years. Mitchell Thompson will hand it off. It's Henderson taken down by Alvin Contreras, getting in there and making it third and long. And as Jace already said, the Greyhound bench is, or sideline that is, getting a little bit excited. And we see this on third down, but I think you need to see this every play. You got to bring your own energy. The Greyhounds have to get a stop here, but Mitchell Thompson is going to try to get a first down. He'll need 7. Greyhound showing a little bit of pressure.
It's Franklin. Watch for him on a blitz.
Jarrell Franklin, he's got a tackle for loss, or had a tackle for loss last week. He forced a fumble. He's got 8 of them along with 2 sacks on the season. He brings the pressure. Thompson steps up, and he's taken down. The Greyhounds get that stop. Eli Leopis, DeBrinch Johnson, Jalen Gavon, everybody in there on that tackle. A boatload of Greyhounds. That brings up 4th and 6. And so with 13:20 to go,
it's a big recovery. Big recovery by the Greyhounds offensively. So, that turnaround from Sukup's interception and get on the field and get your biggest stop and most easiest stop of the day.
The first 3 and out, if I'm not mistaken, of the day. They got a first down on that first play out of the half, but the Greyhounds eventually were able to stop them. And now they force another punt, almost got back there and made a block, as Crow will just grab it and head to the ground, but solid starting field position for the Greyhounds. They'll start at the 38-yard line, and seemed as though behind the line, Danny Royster got his legs taken out from under him by one of those blockers.
He jumped high in the air trying to block that punt that time. It was a good punt by the punter to kind of loft it above the hand of Royster.
Royster unable to get the block, but he does get Gavin Sukup in this offense. The ball back. Garrett Sherrill will be the running back in the backfield for the first down play here, 1st and 10, as Sukup hands it off, but a flag, or at least a stoppage of some sorts, and
not sure everyone was ready to go that time. I think the refs got caught off guard.
Now, maybe the referees were not ready, It's getting to that point in the season where we're in week 12. You've done it so many times. You're almost sleepwalking through these games if you're a referee, but they'll go ahead and just get things going. From what we're hearing, Alonzo Derrick might have been discussing something with the line judge and didn't get fully set. Either way, we reset. The Greyhounds have it, and Caleb Carver
he got pushed in the back. He got shoved. Yeah, it's a rough one for the Greyhounds to take on the chin, because that time it looked like for Minnesota State it was Jason Dandridge who kind of gave him a shove in the back on the out route.
All the offensive coaches for the Greyhounds fired up after the no call, but nonetheless, the referees do not call it. That sets up 2nd and 10. And you saw the changeup. It looked as though the Greyhounds were going to run it on that first play, but they switch it up and go to the pass outside, looking for Caleb Carver one-on-one. Now Marquise Gillum out in the flats. A 10 and curl. Sukup wants it all. Caleb Carver, oh my goodness, almost picked off. A beautiful play. And there is a flag behind the line of scrimmage. Jay seems to think it is a hold, which would have negated the big play.
Sukup was under pressure, and there was a lot of tugging going back and forth from the lines that time. Trying to keep Sukup, with a healthy pocket, trying to take that deep shot that time. Wouldn't be surprised to see a hold. Yeah, it's even worse.
It's actually going to be a chop block. They'll go ahead and tag Brandon Stuckey, the center, with.
It was two players. It was him and Cheryl, both top blocks.
Well, that'll certainly hurt the Greyhounds as it moves them back 15 yards due to the personal foul. They'll redo second down, but this time they'll need 25.
Sukup had Carver on that shot in the post, but a great undercut by the safety that time to make a play on the ball and almost force it the other way.
Goodness, I watched so much football, I can't even remember what game I was watching last night, but that exact thing happened. Cheryl takes it to the left side of the line. He gets dragged down, might have got grabbed by the arm there. And on third down, they'll need about 23 yards. And Jace, you're questioning the play calling there. You're 25 yards behind the sticks, and
you're down by 14 within the fourth quarter. You got to trust the arm of three-time Conference Player of the Year, Gavin Sukup. You got to think. I mean, he's had some throws that haven't been necessarily online. That he's wearing two gloves today due to the cold. So, wonder how it's affecting his throwing.
Seems as though Minnesota State will drop back 7. Sukup gets pressured and he gets taken down. Had two linemen in his lap. As soon as he caught it, he goes down, unable to escape the pressure, and the Greyhounds are going to be forced to punt the ball. They trail by 14, and as Minnesota State will now get the ball back, that offense can just wind that clock down, Jace.
Yeah, that's worst case scenario for the Greyhounds. You could push back that far. You're going to give the Mavericks great field position here off of this punt, and chance for Minnesota State to really start winding this clock down and try to walk out of here with a second straight road victory over a good opponent.
Heron able to get the punt off. It's not the best, but it always gets a great bounce. It's fielded at the 30-yard line, and he's going to take it. That's Williams down to about the 46, 47-yard line, and that is where Minnesota State will start knocking on the door of Greyhound territory. We've got a little bit over 11 minutes to go, Jace. Obviously, you got to get the stop, but how do you do it?
You do what you did last drive. You bring some of that pressure. You try to force backer back. You try to force these running backs backward, and it worked pretty well last drive. They were able to send about 5 or 6 guys on each play, and you force them back into a third and long scenario, and their throwing game is definitely a question mark right now. If you're able to force them into a throwing situation, that's how you get Minnesota State caught off guard right now, and the Greyhounds haven't been able to do it most of the game because it's been 7-8 yards a carry so far. So the last thing you want to afford is allow a second level run. You want to get this first level, some first contact, and then let the linebackers come in and finish the job up.
First play will be a run, Jace. I'm assuming we're going to see 2 or 3 more of those on the next couple of plays. We do have who got that interception. It was a senior defensive back, Kobe Jenkins, number 21. He was the one who picked it off, his second interception of the season. He's also got 3 pass breakups, and he's really the player of the game right now. He's the reason why the Greyhounds did not make it into the end zone, and he's a big defensive back. I would say a pretty solid-sized guy, especially if he's out jumping and pretty much boxing out Callan Okerson in the end zone. Nonetheless, though, the clock continues to roll. Second down. It is going to be a pass play, but a pass off target.
I think Royster might have got a hand of that.
Jay says Royster got a hand on it, and it seems as though our sports info people think the same thing. Nonetheless, though, it is an incomplete pass.
Even if he didn't, he was there in the face of the quarterback, which made a difficult throw because he had to kind of change his arm angle on that throw to get the ball to the screen pass. And this is what you want to do. You want to force Minnesota State into a 3rd and 8 scenario where you think a throw is going to happen. The Greyhounds have been pretty good in the passing defense so far.
Greyhounds say it's not over yet, but they need to stop right here on third down. 3rd and 8. Mitchell Thompson looking down the field. He has his man underneath, and he dives forward. Did he get the first down? The referee runs right to that marker.
I think it's going to be a half-yard try, actually.
We'll see what the referee.
It's a half-yard try, Jake.
Referee is going to say a half a yard short. They're 1 for 1 on 4th down attempts this year. And Jace,
I think he got there, honestly, on that. I think it's a rough spot there. That dive that he made to split 2 defenders, I think, might have gotten him to the spot. But this is where you got to get a stop right here. This is, I hate to put it this way, but season on line kind of play right here early on in this 4th quarter. You got to get a stop down by 14 against a run-first offense. Bring the bodies to the line. Bring the pressure. You got to get something.
Everybody on the line. except for the quarterback and running back. Mitchell Thompson takes it.
Yep.
He gets it. Not too much, but the Greyhounds say they have it. There might have been a fumble in there late in that play. Mitchell Thompson might have had it ripped out of his hands. There's a lot of Greyhounds pointing their way. Danny Royster, number 0, the one you're seeing who just came out of the pile. Referee's trying to figure it out, and there's a referee pointing Greyhound ball. A chance for Minnesota State to put one of the nails in the coffin, and somehow the Greyhounds punch it out. And there's no way of knowing who was in there. There was probably
a lot of guys in there.
I'm seeing Greyhounds.
It looks like Wrigley. No, it's not Franklin. That's Dangerous. I think it's Dangerous celebrating right now. I wonder if he's the one that forced it or recovered it. I mean, there was way too many bodies to sort, through what happened. But a big stop that time, and man, he had the yardage, and someone came in late, punched the football out, and what do you know?
And here at the Division II level, all that matters is who has the ball at the bottom of the pile. They can't go back and review and see this, that, or the other. It's whoever comes up with the ball, the Greyhounds.
How about the defense keeping the offense alive now? Not what you would think for this Greyhounds team.
Kind of the opposite of how this season has been. 28-14, Gavin Sukup has it back. Looking down the field, he's got a man, Alonzo Derrick, across the middle of the field. He stays on his feet, heading towards the sideline. He's going to get an extra 5 yards, but, man, it felt like 20.
He just ran 40 yards for about 2 or 3 extra yards. But, man, the effort, you got to love the effort because that's going to get that momentum. It's going to get that energy back in the building.
Greyhounds going to get a little tempo going with the offense. 9:30 to go here in the fourth quarter, and they're going to move him back maybe a yard there. They're going to say
anywhere now is, I would believe, 4 down territory in this area of the field at least. Got to get that touchdown.
Has 3 receivers out to the right. He drops back. He's just going to dump it off to his running back. Fataki takes it right side, escapes a couple of tackles, get out to that first down marker. They're going to say he's a yard or 2 short. They'll mark him at the 37-yard line, just inside of there.
I feel like that's been there for Sukup all day long. Has been underneath, that dump off, and he's been able to have, that last option, and he's kind of been evading that so far today. He's been taking those deeper shots, taking those middle routes, those more covered routes, when all you can really do is dump it off and gain 7 yards. That's what you need for the Greyhounds.
Giovanni Laurent at the top of your screen. Carver, Derrick, and Gillum at the bottom. Gillum, number 1, showing off the speed, but they opt to go to Crowell, actually. That was not Alonzo Derrick. It was Anthony Crowell who comes in. He's playing a lot of defense these days.
He hasn't been much of a main threat receiving-wise this season. Only 9 catches coming into this game. But last year he was probably the second favorite option offensively as a receiver. But due to those injuries to Gavon and whatnot, he had to play a lot of defensive backs. Didn't get the looks receiver-wise. But now in a big game like this, you're going to see a lot more of the top guys.
Gillum will drop back, a bubble pass for him, a nice block from Laurent. He's able to get outside and get out of bounds, but he only picks up about 3 yards on first down.
According to the stats, Jalen Wilson was the one that forced the fumble, and it was a recovery from Dangerage.
How they figured that out, I have absolutely zero idea, but good for them,
They could have credited about 10 different players with a fumble.
I know. I mean, you want to talk about finding a needle in a haystack. Goodness gracious. Shout out to the stats guys, because I know that's not a fun job to do, especially in a situation like that. Sukup looking down the field. He wants it all. He gets shoved out of bounds, and there's the flag. Everybody calling for it. It was a little bit late coming out. I think there was a question of whether or not it was catchable, but he was shoved out of bounds, and I think that's what made it seem uncatchable.
Yeah, I don't think you can shove a player. That's just my personal opinion.
Here we go with the pass interference. It'll move the ball up 15 yards for the Greyhounds. You might have saw last time on that pass interference, it was placed at the spot of the foul. It's placed at the spot of the foul up into 15 yards. So the Greyhounds will get the maximum of that 15, and they'll be knocking on the door inside the red zone now at the 14-yard line. And we did actually get a look at that fumble, so we might be able to take a look after this possession. The Greyhounds had it. Gavin Sukup alone in the backfield. He's going to take it a designed quarterback run, running behind Callan Okerson. He's able to get inside, make a couple of men miss before a pile of white jumps on top of him. 7:30 to go. Greyhounds probably want to get in the end zone a little bit sooner than later because they've got to get another stop.
Yeah. You don't want a field goal here because it keeps it a 2-score game. You got to get in the end zone here. Force Minnesota State to kind of worry about what they're going to do offensively.
I don't think field goal is in the vocabulary at this point in the game. Down 14, you got to go for it all. Top of your screen, that's Callan Okerson, Alonzo Derrick, Caleb Carver down low for the Greyhounds. Sukup alone in the backfield, looking to his left. He's going to step up in the pocket. He's able to find a man, but it's tipped. He had a man wide open, Callan Okerson, right inside the end zone, but a phenomenal job there by the linebacker to read his eyes and get a hand on it. That's almost I would say, an underrated play there by the linebacker. You're going to look back at this game. That might be one of the most important plays because that's going to allow another 40 seconds to run off the clock, maybe even 2 minutes to run off the clock. That would have been an easy touchdown if he didn't get his hand on that. A beautiful play there by the linebacker.
Now you got 2 plays to get 5 yards. So run is not out of the question here for the Greyhounds.
3rd and 5. Fataki in the backfield. Carver and Derrick down low. It's going to be a pass. Fataki makes a block. He's looking for Carver. Got it. Touchdown, Greyhounds. It's not over yet. There's a flag in the backfield. We'll see. Jay seems to think it is.
It's right where Sukup was nailed at.
Roughing the passer, so we will get the official call. Presumably will be denied. And as they come over to talk to Coach Keevers, I think you are correct, Jace. They are not being too kind to Gavin Sukup in that backfield. The referees are going to award them, and I believe this can be applied on the following play, at least on the kickoff, and they're taking their time here, at least telling us what's going on. Nonetheless, though, Caleb Carver, there you go. Jace was correct.
They're going to enforce this on the kickoff, which means the guys are going to kick off from the 50-yard line.
Okay. And I wasn't for sure if you could do that here, but
you can. And you know, if you kick off from the 50, you could force a high kick. You could try to pin them back deep here. And there's a lot of things you could do with a kickoff.
Opens up a lot of possibility. The 6th touchdown of the year for Caleb Carver. Kick is up, and Heron able to put it through. It is a 7-point game. The Greyhounds not done yet, but they'll need another stopping. Need to get their guy Gavin Sukup the ball back. We'll see Danny Royster in this Greyhounds defense when we return on ESPN+. 6:42 to decide who goes to Ferris State to take on the Bulldogs. Right now, the Greyhounds just put up 7 points, looking for a big stop, trying to get the ball back as they fight. Final score from that Ferris State game, 56-24, Jace. Pretty much what we expected, but I think the beginning of that game gave us a little bit of a scare.
Ferris's offense is something else, man. Ashland's defense is really good, too.
I know, and that presents a tall task for
either
one
of
these
these teams. Is going to have a significant struggle next week up in Ferris. Ferris is hitting a different level right now of destruction.
They've been at that different level for about 3 years now.
Gosh.
It is an impressive run. You want to talk about dynasties. You can talk about whatever baseball dynasty you want from the 1900s. Give me Ferris State, the Division II powerhouse.
I'll be intrigued to see how the Greyhounds handle the kickoff here. Do they just put it back out of the end zone, or do they try to pin them deep? Well, there's your answer.
Well, Jace, you didn't have to wait too long to figure it out. Out the back of the end zone.
I don't mind that. I just think, we could do a squib kick, a high kick, try to force them back deep in their own end, but I get kicking it out of the end zone. You don't want to force or allow anything to happen that could be crazy.
They have had some pretty solid returns out to the 35, 40-yard line just about every time. But, Jace, we've asked you about 10 times, how did this defense get another stop? Last time it was
a fumble.
They forced them to pass it, and I think they kind of escaped with that fumble.
It was an escape, yeah.
They got to put them in passing situations.
You have to. You got to push them back here. You got to make it a 1 or 2 yard run on first down. You got to push them back, make it 2nd and 8.
It will be a run on first
make
down.
it even better, 2nd and 12.
There you go. Chase called for it in the backfield. Danny Royster disrupting it. Julian Dandridge, who recovered that fumble, was back there as well. He was the one who finished it off. Royster was first contact. Dandridge brought him down in the backfield, a loss of 2, and it'll bring up 2nd and 11, actually.
This defense is hitting a different level right now. They're getting a better step. They're getting a better jump. They're getting a better start off their line, and it's
like
showing right now.
They want it a little bit
more. They do. They don't want to lose in the second round.
Sear Jones in motion, and now that's Connor Stoff in motion. It's going to be a quarterback run. Mitchell Thompson able to keep his legs under him. He scrambles forward for a couple extra yards. They'll mark him down at the 31. They'll say just inside the 31, say 30-yard line.
And it's interesting to see how this game's progressed. The Mavericks much more experience in this scenario. They've been here. They've done that multiple times. The Greyhounds have never made it past this round in their history.
That is true, and Coach Hoffner they say in Coach Hoffner we trust for a reason, because he's able to find a way to win these close games right now.
Can't get a stop, though.
Looking to put one of the nails in the coffin here on 3rd down. They need 4. Thompson will pass, and it's not picked off. It's batted away to Brent Johnson. We saw him on that same exact play on the first quarter. He picked up a pass interference. This time he swats it away.
He had a little tug of the jersey, too. You had to wonder if there's going to be a holding call there, but what a play to kind of utilize the tight end as a leverage to go around and bat that pass down.
Put the seatbelt on, says to Brent Johnson. Air Sukup is coming back onto the field momentarily. A punt first for Minnesota State, and you always got to watch out for the fake punt. Not going to be that, and not a great punt as it heads out of bounds right at the 41-yard line, and that is where the Greyhounds will start. 5:11 on the clock, looking to tie things up or maybe even take the lead. A chance to do that with a 2-point
That would be
conversion.
risky. That would be risky. We had the same conversation a few weeks ago with Upper Iowa. The Greyhounds in Upper Iowa, 28-21 final score there, too. The Greyhounds won that game. They were the leading team in this moment. Upper Iowa, the one trying to come back and seal it, but they threw a last-second pick. The Greyhounds got out of there and won the GLBC title. Now a chance to turn the tide here, the Greyhounds. Can they do it?
Greyhounds want to speed things up. Sukup will hand it off. It's Fataki on the left side. He's going to walk forward, and he's still on his feet.
Oh, my goodness.
He's just running over white jerseys. He gets 8 yards on the first down. Well, they'll mark him a little bit shorter than I would have. They say it's 7. That'll set up 2nd and 3rd.
That was a 3-yard rush at that. The fact that he managed to get out of that hut of that pack and force his way for 4 or 5 more yards, this guy's an absolute beast of a back right now.
You look back to close games for Minnesota State as Fataki gets another big run through the second level out to the 41-yard line. The Greyhounds are rolling. You look at the close games for Minnesota State, they have 2, and they lost both of them. Minnesota Duluth in the 3rd week of the season, they lost 17-14, and then earlier in the season, it was November 15th, they lost to Minnesota State Moorhead 31-23. Greyhounds looking to do the same. Fataki, they go back to the hot hand. He's able to push forward.
Him right now. He's getting 4
yards. Yeah, he gets 4 there. That'll set up 2nd and 6. 4:06 on the clock for the Greyhounds to work with. It is just about nighttime here in Indianapolis. It gets dark at about 5:30, 6 o'clock now.
Yeah, and this is for the Greyhounds, unfamiliar territory. The last time they were down in a scenario like this season, I mean, you could say the Ashland game, but in a scenario
really
like this,
Finley.
It was the Finley game.
Yeah.
The Finley game, they had the chance to, they were down by 10 with 2 minutes to go. They had a touchdown that made it a 3-point game. So they didn't really have a chance for that game-tying or game-winning drive. This is their first chance at this in a few years, honestly, at a game-winning drive opportunity.
2 receivers to the left side. That seemed to be where Sukup was looking. He has to step up in the pocket, a little bit of room to work with. Now coming to the near sideline. He's leaning forward. He might have got that first down. Referee says he was a little bit short.
Do they go to the tush push now?
Oh, no, they don't. They're going to wave the chains forward.
Shoulder down is Gavin Sukup. You got to love there from your quarterback. I mean, it scares you every time like that, but you got to love the effort from quarterback Gavin Sukup. This guy is an absolute competitor. His last game as a Greyhound, been here for 3 years, broke every record imaginable passing-wise. This guy trying to lead the Greyhounds to possibly their biggest win in school history.
He doesn't want this to be his last game in a Greyhound uniform, doing everything he can to not let that happen. He hands it off this time. It's Sherrill, gets outside. He lays down the wood. A flag on the play, though. We'll see who gets tagged with that. It's
thinking
right
it might be a holding here on 89.
It's kind of what I was thinking. That's Cole Bennett for the Greyhounds, a freshman tight end. He's got 5 catches this year, 90 yards. Found the end zone 3 times. Did he pick up? It does seem as though he did pick up that holding call as the Greyhounds back up. And that is exactly who they will tag with it. Cole Bennett, the freshman, gets tagged, and that will move the Greyhounds back and kind of puts them off schedule. They were go, 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 but now they're 11 yards behind the line, or 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. 1st and 20.
Good news is now you have 4 downs to get it back.
That is true. It wasn't necessarily the greatest first down run for Sherrill. He picked up 2, maybe 3 yards.
It's 4 down territory for the Hounds.
With the hold. Inside 3 minutes to go. Sukup will hand it off. Fataki working to the outside, gets a nice block. He almost able to break through the second line of defense, but Marcus Hansen able to bring him down.
I like that for a 1st and 20. You know, you get 7 yards back of it. You get yourself a little bit closer to that first down mark, and now you go back to passing game here, try to get 7 of it more back, and then you do the same thing the next down.
Sherrill will be replaced by, or Fataki will be replaced by Sherrill, excuse me. 2:15 on the clock,
they don't
and it
need
just
to
keeps
snap this
winding.
if they don't want.
And you don't necessarily want to give Minnesota State a ton of time to work with if they get the ball back. Sherrill in motion. They will run a play before the 2-minute warming. Down the field, looking for Alonzo Derrick. Oh, off the shoulder. Derrick had it, but off the back shoulder, and that's a monster one. We'll head into the 2-minute warning. The Greyhounds miss a massive opportunity, and from one of the GLVC players of the year, at least a first-teamer, you don't really see that from Sukup and Alonzo Derrick, a duo that has been almost automatic this year. Alonzo Derrick's got 750 yards, 7 touchdowns. He was looking for number 8. Came up just short. Greyhounds still have the ball. It's 3rd and 13 with 2 minutes to go when we return on ESPN+. Third and 13 for Gavin Sukup and his squad. Presumably 2 more chances. Obviously, they can pick up the first down, but they wanted all the marbles on that last play. We were sitting up here asking how, and I guess we were kind of reminded it is a little bit cold out there.
A little bit. I think it's a lot of it cold right now.
Yeah, my feet are pretty numb up here in the booth. Unfortunately, no heating up here in the booth at Keys Stadium, so we're just
a little bit of shivers going on.
We've all got about 3-4 layers on. We're figuring a way to do it, but I mean, this football is keeping me warm. That's about the only thing keeping me going at this point. Gavin Sukup, 2 receivers to the right. Alonzo Derrick to the left. 3rd and 13. And it's Garrett Sherrill to his right. Sherrill fakes the handoff. Now it's over to Sherrill. Out of the backfield. He makes a man miss. He's down the sideline. Inside. He's heading towards the end zone. Touchdown, Greyhounds. Garrett Sherrill walks the tightrope up the sideline and puts up 6 for the Hounds. 28-27, Andrew Herron onto the field to tie this one up. 1:50 to go. The Greyhounds come out of the 2-minute warning and punch. There has been a blocked kick in this game. Let's take a look at this.
Look at the tightrope, man. Look at the way he splits 2 defenders. Sherrill uses that speed, uses that agility and elusiveness to get down the sideline. And 1 extra point away, Jake. Can Herron tie it up?
It's a fake. And Minnesota State read it perfectly. The Greyhounds tried to fake it. Minnesota State was there. Edmund O'Connessy. O'Connessy was there all day, and there's silence in Key Stadium. Well, I guess on one half of Key Stadium, as with 150, the Greyhounds go for 2 and do not get it.
Wow.
Silence on this side of Key Stadium, as I said, 150 to go, and the Greyhounds will now boot it away. Do they onside kick it? They do have 3 timeouts to work with, and I think that's kind of the mindset that you're rolling with right now for the Greyhounds. You've gotten stops on the last couple of defensive possessions. Trust your defense to get you the ball back, and maybe you can go down and kick a field goal. Although I would say you just trust your defense and go into overtime, especially with the way the second half is gone. But nonetheless, the Greyhounds go for 2 and do not get it. We ask this question all the time. They just went ahead and answered it.
If you're going to go for 2, just go for 2 regularly. I don't like that idea of a fake PAT.
Jace did not like it, but
I think you could go ahead and onside kick it here, too. I mean, you might as well. You have 3 timeouts to utilize anyways. Might as well at least give it a shot here, right?
Well, they get that first down. It's pretty much over no matter where they're at on the field.
Exactly, so just go for it here.
I do agree with you, Jace, but the way they're lined up, this is not exactly traditional onside hands team. They're just going to line up 10 across, but we'll see if it works out. The Greyhounds kick it right into the hands of Nasir Jones, and that it will give them the ball on their side of the field. Jones, part of the hands team for a reason, and said on their side of the field, on the Greyhound side of the field. Only takes 1 second off the clock, but it was all Greyhounds for the last, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so, and then out of nowhere, Minnesota State gets a huge stop on the 2-point conversion and takes all the life out of this Greyhound squad.
Now, be wary here. Yes, you think they're going to run the ball. I think they do first down, but after that, watch for a pass. A pass would end it. A first down would end it. You got to be wary. You can't send the entire team just yet. I think right here, though, you should. Send a blitz, send 8 guys.
Greyhounds have 3 timeouts and 1:49 to work with. Baker gets the first down, and he gets inside the 30-yard line. Exactly what you couldn't let happen. The Greyhounds allow to happen. They're going to have to call a timeout, and they do. 28-27, 1:42 on the clock. The Greyhounds now will have to get 3 straight stops, and then that will allow Minnesota State to run about 40 extra seconds off the clock. If all things go right, they'd get the ball with about 40 seconds left. Plenty of time to work with, but it all starts here with the defensive stop. And, Jace, I think we're all still kind of just shocked by that decision. They went and ran out there with Andrew Herron just like any other PAT, and I guess that's what you want to do when you're faking it, but it was very bang-bang play, and Minnesota State comes out on the top end of it.
It's one of those I've never really been in this scenario before, a chance to win a second-round game, you give it a shot. You try to surprise an opponent who's been here, done that with something that they haven't seen before, and I don't play a play call. I think it was a good idea. You just didn't execute.
Handoff to Backer, and Backer's just working his way.
Let him score.
They're going to let him run into the end zone.
That's best case scenario. That's best case scenario, Jake.
Backer just made a mistake there by not going down inside the 5-yard line. Backer just saw green, and he was going for gold, and while he does score, he makes it 34-27. An extra point here, and the Greyhounds have a chance to come down and run a 2-point play, and they've got 1:30 to do so. So the best case scenario for the Greyhounds out of that. And you also always got to watch for Minnesota State to run that 2-point play, a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, you got to be careful now. If they run it back on you and they get it, that's just going to be salt in the wound.
2-point conversion would make it unobtainable, but the kick is up and good. That'll make it an 8-point lead, 35-27.
Wow.
Sam Backer gets into the end zone.
He goes down there, the game's over.
Big game after big game, and he was just looking for the totals. He wants the big numbers, and you can't blame him.
And, Dick, I watched the Greyhounds. After he got past that first down marker, they all just there's this lane for you by accident. We're just going to let you have it.
And that works as long as the running back doesn't go down. He had every opportunity, and I'd say there were probably some coaches on the sideline that might be talking to him right now saying, you might want to go down. I know you love the stats, but right now we had a chance to run the clock out and in this game without a doubt, and now you give the Greyhounds offense potentially their best part of the best part of their team, a chance to come
and
back.
An offense who has scored in the last 2 drives down. They found their way out downfield. They figured out something offensively, and you give them a chance, and a 2-point conversion after would send us to an overtime period. You give the offense a chance. This is all they could ask for. This is all Sukup could ask for. This is all this offense could ask for all year long is one chance, one opportunity.
Well, they're making the safeties make decisions. We'll get to it after this. It's a squib kick, and it will be fumbled. The Greyhounds able to get it. Marquise Gillum now will turn back, and he's taken down by a couple of white jerseys. A little bit of extra contact. The Greyhounds won a flag, but nothing will be called. I think the referees just want to stay out of this one. They don't want to interject.
And, you know, Jake, the best-case scenario, too, because he went in on that first down play, still 2 timeouts for the Greyhounds to utilize in this drive.
As he said, the Greyhounds will have 2 timeouts to work with, 1:27 on the clock, but you probably want to stick close to those sidelines. Kind of back to what I was saying, though, Sukup's making the safeties make a decision. You look back to the throw over top to Alonzo Derrick. He didn't catch it, but it was a one-on-one. The throw to Sherrill, the throw to Carver. They're all down the field one-on-ones. In the first half, they were allowing the safety to sit over top, and he was throwing to the double-teamed route. Now he finds a wide-open Garrett Sherrill, but a low pass at the feet of Sherrill. That'll set up 2nd and 10, takes about 10 seconds off the clock.
Sherrill had room to run there, too. A lot of green turf in front of him. He had one man that was going to be one-on-one, a chance to get around him for an elusive back. Sukup kind of underthrew. This is the biggest drive of his career right here, Gavin Sukup. I mean, maybe not. I mean, he was in the, JUCO. I mean, he did win it all JUCO. So, but in Division II football with the Greyhounds, his biggest drive here against a very stout defense. This team was built, on the back of a defense.
This is what you live for as a conference player of the year. Sukup has 2 receivers to either side. He steps up in the pocket. He has Alonzo Derrick over the middle. He makes the catch at the 41-yard line. Greyhounds will move the chains, keep their chances alive. 35-27, first down now. Sukup looks over to the sideline, gets the play. They'll stay in that same formation, 2 receivers to either side. Sherrill in the backfield. Sherrill out to the right side, safety valve, and Sukup gets taken down from behind.
Timeout here.
Greyhounds will have to call a timeout, in a massive play there behind the line of scrimmage. Not only backs him up, but we're under a minute to go here as the Greyhounds will call that timeout.
That's what you couldn't allow. You couldn't allow a sack. You can't allow to be pushed back on this drive. Now you have to go even further with only 59 seconds. You just can't allow a play like that. It's a left tackle, I believe, who got beat there. Kevion Anderson got absolutely beat off the line, and lucky that Sukup held onto the ball, too. That's a blindside hit for a quarterback. That's tough. You don't see it coming. And boom, walk up free. So good job by Sukup to keep hold of that football on that big hit from behind that time.
I believe that was Marcus Henson. We've said his name quite a few times, number 95 there. And he's made quite a big impact on this game. Last week he had 4 solo tackles, a TFL, as well as an interception in that win over Findlay. Today, putting up some big numbers as well. But for 59 seconds, 8 points needed from the Greyhounds, but they got to get to the end zone first. 2 receivers to either side. Sherrill will catch it out of the backfield. Almost a design screen. Sherrill working to the near sideline, and he's brought down by his ankles. A nice tackle that time for Oconsi.
Got to go now. You got to go.
Oconsi brings him down inbounds. Maybe a mistake for the Greyhounds.
That got you back into this set of downs here, though.
It is 3rd down. The Greyhounds need about 8. Alonzo Derrick, a toe tap. Did he catch it? Yes, he did.
That's a first down, too.
He gets out of bounds in Minnesota State territory on the 49-yard
line. Great job by a small receiver to get his feet down. It was a high pass by Sukup.
32 seconds on the clock. And they will line up with trips on the right side. Alonzo Derrick at the bottom of your screen all alone. Sukup drops back. He's looking for Derrick once again and picked off. Off target, and Oconsi ends it. Just like that, a yard off target, and Gavin Sukup's career has come to an end. 25 seconds on the clock. Minnesota State, they're waving. (35-27). We gotta look over here at the Minnesota State fans. They traveled well, and they were rewarded with a nice win on the road. A 2nd straight win in the playoffs for Minnesota State. A 2nd straight road win for Minnesota State as Mitchell Thompson will line up under the center, take a knee, and that will all but do it here at Key Stadium. We'll see if the Greyhounds are going to call timeout. It does not seem as though they will, and what was a wonderful season will finally come to an end for the Greyhounds here in the second round. Coach Todd Hoffner, Minnesota State Mankato, heading to the regional finals of Super Region 3 to take on the Ferris State Bulldogs, and would have been two hard-fought battles. They got the best of Findlay in round one, and they win a tough one against the Greyhounds here on the road, one that Coach Hoffner is probably going to remember for years to come, because Chris Keevers is not an easy coach to beat, Jace.
Absolutely. You hit that right in the head that time, and, the Mavericks team, they came in here. They got in control to begin this game, and the Hounds had to try to work back into it. It was a tall task either way against a very stout defense, and, one mistake could cost you the season. We saw that right there. Sukup unleashed it a little bit too much under the football. He had a guy underneath that was open, and that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Things don't always work out in your way, and this Mavericks team, they came out with a head of steam, and they made the Greyhounds pay. The Greyhounds couldn't get back into the game time against a very good team. Defensively, this Mavericks team, very good. You got to put it that way. Maybe, the record doesn't show how good this team really is in a very tough conference. In the Northern Sun. And, you look at the competitiveness in the NSIC and the GLVC week in, week out, and the NSIC is definitely a lot more competitive and a lot more physical week in, week out. And you got to wonder, for the Greyhounds, blowing teams in, week out like the way they do in the GLVC isn't always the best competitive edge they need heading into the playoffs. And I think it showed today to begin this game, because they hadn't played a non-GLVC team since that Ashland game when, they barely was able to eclipse an Ashland. He was very good, and, was also in this round today. So, that competitive edge showed, and I think the Greyhounds hadn't seen a team of this stature since, week 3 in the season. And it showed in the first half. They were a little bit off their mark. They weren't as physical, but they found themselves back into where they wanted to be second half.
And I think we talked about it a little bit coming, or might have been going into the second quarter, but when this Greyhound team tends to sputter out offensively, it kind of becomes a reoccurring theme. It's 2 or 3 drives in a row, and that's what we saw in the second quarter. They struggled to move the ball and obviously struggled to finish off drives after that blocked field goal. So it comes back to those last 10 minutes or so of the second quarter. The biggest difference in my mind of this game, that is where Minnesota State won it, and they're a team that if they get ahead, they are very good at closing out games because they can run the ball so well. So credit the Greyhounds defense for getting Gavin Sukup the ball back and giving this team multiple different opportunities to win this game. I think the MVP of this game is really the Greyhound defense.
Oh, 100%. The fact that they got bullied over in that first half and they were able to respond in the second half the way they did against a team who was running all over them in that first half was very impressive. But, this Mavericks football team, they're going to give Ferris State an issue next week, I believe. This defense is for real. They can stop the run outside of a few runs the Greyhounds had today. They can stop the run, and that's going to be an interesting matchup next week with the Ferris State Bulldogs. This Mavericks team, they're experienced. They've been here. They've done that. The Greyhounds haven't really been in this scenario before. This is their first second-round home game in the history of the school. This is a first for the team, and I think it was a step in the right direction for Indianapolis, showing that they compete with a team from a different conference in the playoffs, because they haven't really shown that competition these previous seasons. Look back at 3 years ago against Pittsburgh State, they got smacked by the Gorillas, and then last year against Grand Valley, they just weren't as physical as Lakers were, and that one they fell short in. Today, they showed a fight that we haven't really seen from this team before against a non-conference team in the playoffs, and I think that is really what impressed me today, is that they actually fought in this game and were able to stay in this against a very, very good team in Minnesota State. And I think these two teams are very even, honestly. At the end of the day, these two teams are very good teams in this region. And now for the Greyhounds, they have to figure out where they go from here. Sukup's graduating, a lot of graduates on this team. You got to wonder where they go to quarterback next season. But for Minnesota State, you got more in front of you now. You get to go up to Ferris State next week up in Michigan. You get a chance to play for another Super Region championship in your first at the Super Region 3 level. So a lot to look forward to for both of these teams. The Greyhounds, probably their best season in school history, honestly. The Mavericks, well on their way to another great year and their storied history.
Chase puts it pretty perfectly as Coach Todd Hoffner continues his reign at Minnesota State. The Greyhounds sent home early. Minnesota State, as Jay said, will head up to Ferris to play against Ferris State. Or, well, I guess that's Big Rapids, Michigan up there is where they will be playing Ferris State. And I think you kind of started to talk about it a little bit with that Grand Valley State game, but when we saw them shut down in that game, it was over. It was over at halftime. To see the fight and to see them come out and play the way they did in the second half was impressive.
And obviously, it's not the way you want the season to end. You don't want to end the season at home against a team who you came back and you were in control in the fourth quarter. Honestly, you had a chance to come back and win this game. You had the last drive opportunity. It's not exactly what you wanted to see. It's not how you want to see a season end. But for these guys, they can to me hold their heads high. They had their best season in at least their 4 years here. This is their first playoff win since 2018, and Greyhounds, for the Greyhounds, and a lot to work for, a lot to build off of for Chris Keevers and company. A very good season, nonetheless, and a competitive game against a very good Mavericks ball club. And you got to feel good for the Mavericks again. First year in Super Region 3, they were doubted coming into the playoffs. They had those losses that were very questionable to Minnesota State. Moorhead, people thought they shouldn't be in. There's a lot of talking heads that were like, they shouldn't have been in. It should have been the Dragons over them. They beat them in the last week of the season. And for the Mavericks to come out here and then defeat, the GMAC and GLVC champion in back-to-back weeks and one against Washington, and then today, for the most part, dominating most of this ball game. They showed that they belong. They showed that this team should have been the one chosen to make the playoffs.
Definitely a good ad. I think the Northern Sun, we got to experience them a little bit. The GLVC had really never played against the Northern Sun until today, so we got a taste of it, and I'm ready to see a little bit more over the next couple of years. And I think Super Region 3 is going to continue to be one of the harder regions to make it out of, but it'll be Minnesota State moving on to go up to Grand Rapids and play Ferris State. 35-27, the final score. Jason, any final thoughts?
No, I think I hit most of the points I wanted to. Minnesota State obviously came in this one and kind of punched that first punch. The Greyhounds were able to respond through a punch of their own, but I think to me it all came down to that fake PAT. And I think it was the right choice in the grand scheme of things. You surprised a team who's been here before. They don't expect it to happen. You just didn't execute the play you wanted to. And for Minnesota State, credit to them. They got the stop. They were able to go back on offense, get the touchdown, and get that final interception to close things out due to that pressure that they have been getting on the Suka ball game, along the pressure, forcing an overthrow by Gavin Sukup. So they do their job. They're built on defense. They won by defense today, Minnesota State. So credit to them. Credit to both these teams. Very good seasons for both of these squads. And for the Mavericks, looking forward to see how they can do against the Bulldogs next week.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you for your color commentary today. An international award winner for his color commentary. We thank him for that. Thank everybody at ESPN Plus, as well as everybody here at the University of Indianapolis, helping us stay up and on the air. But for Jace Hodge and myself, Jake Helton, saying so long from Indianapolis.